Hi guys, I'm Becca Otis from Five Lines Pottery, and I'm located in Van.
And I'm Ryan Durbin from RD Ceramics, located in Highland Heights, Kentucky.
And welcome to Wheel Talk.
All right, hello. We're live.
What's up?
We got a stand-in today. So, trying to give Becca a little break. She's still getting adapted to the new job. She's about a month in or so, but I know it would hit me pretty hard trying to get up at 5 in the morning. I was talking with Isaac recently, and he was like, we can record this at 6 in the morning, right?" No,
Hi.
no thanks. 5 in the morning, sorry. 5 your time, 6 my time, right?
That's right.
Um, so Isaac is joining me today. Isaac Shue.
What's up? Good to
Hello,
be
hello.
here.
So, what's going on? What's new?
Nothing. Just in the studio getting stuff made for spring.
For what? Do you have a big show you're building toward, or?
We do. Usually we have a spring show, but this year's just kind of weird. So we're gonna try to squeeze it in about a month early. So April 5th, we're gonna be doing just a spring. I don't know. We never used to really name our events, give them like themes. But Karina's kind of been into it recently, so I think this one's gonna be like something like birds, bugs, blooms, and shrooms. Something. We're gonna have.
Oh, you don't just call it like the Gallery Mostasa Spring Market. You call it. It's got like
We
a
used to
theme name
call
to
it.
it.
We used to call it the market at Mostasa, and we would bring in like 7 artists, food truck, everything, and try to make it like a kickoff to spring and summer, like farmers market style. But we're gonna be moving studio, gallery, lives, everything. We're moving like April, like the next day, like April 6th.
Oh my gosh.
So we're not really trying to get much more on our plates than basically we need to do an event to pay our taxes come April. And that's what we do every year for our spring event is basically it just goes to pay taxes. And so we need to do that, but we just don't want to be getting 7 people involved and then randomly our house sells and we got to be out. It's a lot easier just to cancel
Yeah.
on ourselves. And if we need to go do it at our new gallery up north, we can do it. It's just hard to drag 7 other people's schedules around like that. So,
Right. So
so
the
this year,
show. This is one of the 4 shows you do during the
one
year,
of the
right?
three, yeah, we do
3.
3 a year.
Okay. So
Yep,
of the 3, is this one like
the smallest.
the smallest? Okay.
Yeah,
That's
by
probably good.
far. Yeah, yeah. So it basically when we moved to where we're at right now, is when Gallery Mostasa came to be. We had just always sold under my name, Isaac Shue, IS Art. But Karina got more involved, so we decided we needed kind of a umbrella name. And we actually had a physical building that we like decked out as a store, like acting like we knew what we were doing. We had no clue. Just the garage on our property, we just really finished it out nice. Threw a sign that said Gallery Mostasa, and we did a grand opening, and it was actually pretty well attended. And we had our fall show and our Christmas show already developed. So that just kind of took off. But then you can't do a grand opening every year. So that's
So
when we
that
kind of,
grand opening just happened to coincide with the springtime, and
yeah,
that's
it
kind
was
of
May
this that was
1st.
that was the start of your spring show.
Yeah, May 1st, 2021, right? Right after, I'm kind of still in COVID, I guess. But yeah, and it worked out great. And it kind of just
And you
filled a
had 7
hole.
artists at that, or
Yeah, so we had planned like when we open this gallery, we really wanted to host or not host, but like sell almost consignment local artists, but like legit actual good. We didn't want just anybody's cousin who could quote unquote paint to like bring paintings. Like we handpicked, we had a my cousin's wife actually made handmade goat soap. She like milked her actual goats, used that. She didn't just buy the kits. She legit
right?
milked the goats and made the soap out of the what's it, tallow or something. Um, we had her. We had our wood making friend who does like charcuterie boards and utensils. We had our local friends started doing their beef like they have an actual like ranch with cattle, but they started doing like Out here, you have to buy a quarter or a half a beef, which is like I mean, you can get into thousands of dollars, which is nice because then you have steaks and beef for half a year. But they started doing it actually by the piece, and they opened a store in Harper where it was just full of freezers where you could come and pick your own cuts and everything. So we had them in their refrigerated trailer out here.
Wow.
Who else we had? A buddy of mine up in Lawrence, which is 3 hours north, did printmaking. We had him here. Um,
So these were all just word of mouth, like people you knew. You didn't have to seek out
yeah.
and put a call for
No, no,
artists
no,
and
no, no,
say,
no. We didn't do any of
"Hey,
that.
apply to the show." Yeah, it was just word of
No,
mouth.
these are people that we've done shows with like through the local circuit for years. Like we knew them, knew their product. Yeah, we handpicked them. We didn't ever have
Nice.
applications. But then we would often get emails all the time from local people like, hey,
Yeah.
I make what is there? I don't know. I make propane tanks into jack-o'-lanterns with a plasma cutter. Do you think I can come and be at your
Or
show?
I do yard art or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like you got to become the bad guy because no, we don't want your crap here. Like, sorry, that sounds really bad. We don't want your stuff. Like, we want actual, real, fine art quality stuff that
Right.
we would actually represent in our gallery compared to. We don't want to be a country store.
It's
Like,
hard to draw that line too, because we do that for the backyard craft show, and we've slowly done the word of mouth thing, and we kind of have a pool of. Usually, we can accommodate about 11 people. And we
mm-hmm.
have a pool of people that we've kind of cycled through and had year after year. And usually we give them preference if
Yeah,
they've
right.
done it the year before. But once you start expanding outside of that, it's hard to just seek people out that are,
Yeah,
because for one, I want people that are local to the city where it's held. I don't live
yeah,
in Louisville. My parents do, but like I don't know a lot of artists in the city.
mm-hmm.
But, and then I'm like seeking out people that live a couple hours away. And I'm like, well, I don't want them to feel like it's not worth the travel to come to a show
Right.
when it's like kind of casual and maybe their sales won't be that great. But
Mm-hmm.
like I'm trying to curate an experience, but also have something a little different so it's not just a rinse and repeat of the previous year. But
Right, right.
yeah, I get those inquiries every time like create the event on Facebook. People will reach out and say, "Hey, I do this." And I basically just ask for their email and their business page or their website and try to like build a little list. And if it doesn't really fit, I mean, it's not that bad because I only have certain spots for different mediums, but yeah, like we usually have like leather people that do leather works, like belts and bags and stuff, and then
Right, right.
there's usually we'll have a soap person, we'll have somebody that does earrings, like whether it's mixed media or clay earrings, or
Mm-hmm.
we always have some potters. But yeah, once you get outside of that, like painting's a little iffy. There's some mixed media, but
Yeah,
usually we'll have that. And then it's like, I don't want just anybody that does like, and it's called the Backyard Craft Show. So craft kind of doesn't really feel like high end, but
yeah,
it's
right.
like I want to curate it. So I feel like we're going to get to the point where we have to like put out an application or something so that we can be a little more selective. But
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, because I want to like
We
grow
actually,
it to some new people, but I don't know how to find those people
for
without
sure.
doing other shows there. But
Well, see, the thing is, so there is an active farmers market that's once a month in Harper, and Harper has, well, it's
ooh,
Harper
that's
and
a good
Anthony,
idea.
but I mean, it's once a month. I think it's the first Saturday of every month from May through October. But there's literally like 8 vendors that go. And some are actually farmers, some are like honey and everything. But we did not want to bring those people just because they're readily available. We want people that are
Oh,
fresh
that's a
and
good
not
point.
in Harper all the time. But we also made it where we had to the people that we invited had to have some connection to Harper to call them local. So like my aunt lived here for years, but when I was a kid, they moved out to Ohio, and they still are out there. And she does glass fused jewelry. So we brought her back from Ohio. People knew her. She went to church out here way back when. So like there's that connection. We bring in a guy every year who does cheesecakes, mini cheesecakes out in Denver. He's been voted Denver's best cheesecake multiple times, but
Whew.
he's from the county here. Like I went to high school with him. So he comes back and he'll sell out. I think he sold 300 cheesecakes in like 10 minutes. two
Oh
years
my
ago.
gosh.
Last year he doubled it and he didn't sell out. I mean, he had a ton. He had 600 and some cheesecakes. But yeah, so like we try to bring in specialty things like that that are completely unique to what we're doing compared to, well, it's another art show in Harper, Kansas, and here are the same six people who've been at them for the past 8 years. Like,
Yeah. I mean, when
you
you mentioned
know,
the farmers market, I was like, oh, I can get my parents to just go up to the local farmers market. And if it doesn't coincide with the same day, or maybe there's one that's held on Wednesday afternoons or something, I'm like, maybe there's
hmm
somebody, I don't know. The flip side, I was thinking, well, if they're local and they're available, people know them. So maybe they'll bring people that come to expect them there
hmm
because I suspect there's a lot of folks that don't know us because there's not a lot of
Well, yeah,
people
but
that sell
Louisville's
here that do
also
a
big
ton of
enough to
shows.
spread it out. Like Harper's 1,300 people.
Okay.
Like everybody knows everybody. They know that when you go to the fair, this person's going to be there with their honey. When you go to the farmer's market, they're going to be there. Which,
Mm,
if you want that honey, it's nice because you know they're always going to be there. But if you want to go experience something new at Gallery Mostasa, you don't want to go and just,
okay.
it's just not the same farmer's market at the gallery. It's
Right.
something completely different, fresh, and new. We have a lady who has a flower farm in town that she brings out. She'll harvest some stuff and come
Oh
and do.
my gosh, flowers. Oh, that's a
Yeah,
good
dude, it's
idea.
it is.
It's
And
actually
see,
that ours is held the day before Mother's Day this year, but I'm like,
oh
ooh,
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like they're
yeah.
gonna have other events going on that they're not gonna want to do this, but
See, so this whole
damn, I need
idea
to find a
before
flower person.
we moved out here in 2020, September 2020, and our original idea was we wanted to do a spring show in April or May of 2020 before COVID hit. So we had been pounding all winter. We had all these planters, flower gardens, all this stuff, and we had talked with the local flower shop, and she had it where we were gonna have like pallets of like dirt, different stems, different succulents, everything. We had made vases, we had made planters, and it was gonna be basically like a Chipotle buffet where you come to the door and you get to pick out, do you want a vase, do you want a planter, what size? Then you go and you get to pick which dirt you want or compost or whatever. Then you pick your plants and plant them right there. Have several people volunteering to help you plant, then have like different speckled like stones that go on top.
Hmm.
So you can actually go buy your whole setup for a sweet planter or whatever you wanted. We had hanging planters, we had everything. And then COVID hit and shut it down, so we couldn't do it.
Damn.
And then we moved that same year out here. And then the following year, we tried, that was that grand opening. The lady didn't want to do the flower thing. See, I forget the details. She had been
Mm,
busy. I don't remember. But anyways, that's how that whole thing kind of came to
yeah.
what it is now.
I feel like I'd love to find like a small scale flower person because obviously I don't want to like I'm not gonna be able
Yeah.
to get somebody the day before Mother's Day to come out
No,
and
you
do
won't.
it
No.
unless it's for like an hour and a half and they sell out or
See, and
whatever.
that's
But
what's cool about like, so there's two flower farms within 5 miles of us. And it's literally just these ladies, they're teachers in the school. And like in the summer, like they just put out posts, both of them put out posts this past week that they're planting their flowers. That the one literally gets wildflowers. She doesn't even like put them in rows. She just goes out, she's on 10 acres and just dumps bags of wild seeds. And she gets like, zinnia, sunflower, all the different things like, and then
hmm.
she just goes out and picks random bouquets and puts them in Starbucks like Frappuccino jars. Like you
Yeah.
drink the little Frappuccino thing and it has that jar. Yeah, puts a little ribbon on it and sells them for like 10 or 20 bucks. And I mean, people eat it up.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So same thing, just make a vase. And you can make
Okay.
several different vases. We do bud vases, we do all sorts.
Okay. So what stock are you making? You've been making like crazy to build up to this. What kind of like
Well,
what are you
actually,
making today?
we have not been making like crazy. I wish we have. We've just had so many showings. You have to clean the house. You got to leave. It's been
Because
horrible.
you're actively trying to sell your current house
Yeah,
and
our current
your
house and our
second
rental
house.
house, they're
Yeah.
both for sale. So then you've got two listings. You got to be entertained. Like it's a lot of work. And then in the meantime, we have two buildings up an hour and a half north of here that we're remodeling. So we're up there every weekend meeting with contractors. I just bought several things on Marketplace today and yesterday, so I've been driving across the state to pick up a commercial sink,
Oh shit.
Today we bought these hand carts that are from a railroad museum in Kansas City.
Oh,
They are
that's sweet.
freaking sweet. They're going to be the coolest displays. So I got to go up and meet this guy on Saturday and help him get these off the trailer, get them into the buildings. So it's just stuff like that. But like what we're making today, I made. So I wake up at 5, get out here by 5:15, and between 5:15 and 7, I work on my order list. So today I made 35 mugs for a women's church group that has a conference April like 12th. Um, so
It's
yeah, I
early
did
March
that.
right now. It's about a month out from his show.
Oh
Yep.
yeah. Today's like
For
March
people that don't
5th.
know, but yeah,
Today's March 5th. We have our show April
today's the
5th,
third.
3rd, and we are moving April 6th, and we're going to South America April 10th for 18 days. Then we get back, and in the meantime, we have to freaking sell and move. It's freaking stupid. And then we've got to start making pumpkins on May 1st in a new studio.
Ooh,
So let's see, I did 35 mugs this morning. Then I came back after breakfast and I made 20 berry bowls, which are like little colanders basically that fit
yeah.
on your thumb. Then I made 20 colanders that will get handles, but they're twice as big. So the berry bowls are 1 pound. These colanders are 2 pound bowls. Made 20 of those. Um, I have an order for 70 plates for a 5K, so I've been working through those.
Oh
Made some
shit.
of those today, and then I made six. I've never made sponge holders, so I'm gonna try
Oh, getting in
to
the
make.
sponge holders.
Yeah, so I made six of those today. Then I just made three of one style, three of another. Trying to figure out a form, and I mean it's really not a hard thing to make, but
Yeah.
so yeah, I did those. Oh, and then I threw four lanterns that I'm currently making. I shared it on Instagram today. It has like flower cutouts on them.
Right.
And they are so the flowers are mustard flowers, which mostasa, Gallery Mostasa means mustard in Spanish. Um, so that's what those. So I made four of those. I always have the 4 or 5 of those drying so that when they're perfect, I can carve them and get those going.
Yeah.
So I think I did 88 pieces today, and all of them get handles and drilled holes. And I don't know why I made so freaking much because tomorrow's gonna be nuts.
Damn.
But it'll be good. I mean but that's the thing. Like we have 1 month, which means I get about 2 solid weeks of throwing, and then I've got to finish the process, glazing, firing,
Yeah.
sanding, pricing, getting the gallery under control. In the meantime, getting the house packed up, gallery packed up, studio packed up. So
But the sale is
basically,
at the gallery.
it's
That's
at our
not
current
that's being
gallery.
sold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's at our current gallery. And we are now within a timeline that, let's say somebody comes tomorrow with a cash deal, it won't happen. But if they did, it still usually takes 45 days closing. So we should still be here. We didn't list it until this week for kind of that reason. We didn't really want to rush it, have someone buy it, and we were basically homeless before they get our current, like
Yeah.
our
Then what
new
do you do with
place.
selling selling
No
the having the
kidding. And it's
show?
like you have to have a show to pay your taxes. And if you don't have a building, like, yeah, it could be nuts.
Woo. All
So this
right.
month,
So
this
start of a
month is
week. Good
gonna,
good start to the week.
yeah, yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
appreciate you spending some time with me to chat.
No, are you kidding me? If it's Ryan Durbin calling, I'm answering that phone.
Usually it's you calling me, so
No, it's not. Get off your high
that's
horse. You
false. That's
call.
false.
Ryan called me probably, probably 3 times a week.
And by Ryan you mean Isaac.
And by calling, I mean
You called me at least twice each time because
calling.
it's always on work mode, so you have to call me twice,
That's right.
or else you don't get picked up. Yeah. So I did a soda fire this weekend. I did a had a workshop.
Go okay?
Yeah, it was great. The so I was telling Becca recently I did a little chat GPT conversation to figure out some ideas of how to shorten my firing time.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a couple different things. I added 2 layers of brick for the chimney. So I added about a foot to the chimney, which it was saying would help with the draft to make it a little bit more efficient firing wise. and then I was cranking it up a little quicker at the beginning of the firing and kind of threw out. So I shaved off. It ended up a total about 11 and a half hours.
And your last one was 17.
The last one was like 16 and a half to 17 hours.
Okay, so wait, how do you crank it up at the beginning? Did you put more PSI? Did you
I
open the
still
damper
kept it at
more?
5 psi. It was just how much of an increment I was opening the valve at the burner each time
Oh,
I would
okay. Yeah,
open
yeah,
it.
yeah, 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 yeah. Okay.
So instead of like adjusting it like an eighth of a turn, I would adjust it like a quarter of a turn.
Yeah, so you were cranking. Okay, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So it was going a lot quicker. And then I did change one other thing. I changed instead of putting 3 batches of soda in, I put 2 batches of soda in.
And they were both larger batches or
Yeah, I still use 3,500 grams of the soda mixture in total, but I
hmm
just cut it in half and did it
and you
in two
felt like
batches.
you felt like that was fine?
Yeah, everything turned out fine. I mean, I still stirred it after about 30 minutes each time.
Yeah.
So I still need to stir it, but each time you put the soda in, it drops it a couple hundred degrees.
Yeah, for sure.
Last firing, I did start putting it in a little bit later too. So I think we put it in about 2050 degrees
That
instead
was
of,
your first load?
yeah.
Okay.
So I was adding the soda in about 2050.
Yeah.
Before that, I was putting it in about 2000, but
hmm
the other recommendation it was saying was right before you put the soda in to maybe crank the PSI a little bit more so that it could burn it a little bit more quickly when you drop the soda in there.
How did you do with reduction? Did you do that to bring up the bottom of temperature?
I did, yeah. So I still started doing that about 1900 and
So
it
if the top
took
was at 1900, what was the bottom at when you started that?
let's see my log here. Switch to air for special soda. Actually it's not 1900. It was about 1820. But the top was at 1820, the bottom was at 1441, so that was about almost 400 degrees difference. And then we kept it in reduction for until we added the first batch of soda.
hmm
So 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours of reduction.
Wow, okay.
It closed it down to 215 degrees.
And you didn't feel like you got a lot of melt on that?
Um, what do you mean?
Um,
Are you asking if the soda burned off as well? It was at about 2050 when I first
I
put
guess
soda
more
soda in
like the
there.
whole juice, like the juice of the soda. Do you feel like with all that
Oh,
reduction, did you feel that you saw,
I mean,
were
I
there a
still
lot
feel
of
like there was a
reds?
lot of soda, but there was still a lot of soda in the firebox by the end of it.
Did you get much turquoise color?
I did, yeah. Well, not turquoise. No, we got the reds.
You got reds, but you didn't get like flashes of turquoise coming in from the
There's
chimney?
there was a little bit of turquoise,
Yeah.
but it was mostly red on the
Right,
turquoise
right, right,
glaze.
right.
But yeah, it's pretty good. And then after the first batch, it tightened up to less than 100 degrees difference when we were stirring it. It got as close as 40 degrees.
Holy smokes.
And then by the end of it, um we were about 130 degrees apart.
Yeah.
So
What was
coming
on your bottom shelf? Was it your tallest shelf was the bottom?
I think it was a 6-inch shelf. So it was the top shelf is always the tallest for me, and then the bottom shelf was the second tallest.
Mm-hmm.
So my middle shelf is normally about 5 inches or so.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably the main reason. I've never put well, I think I put 4 shelves in the first time, but pretty good with the 3 shelves. Um, it just depends on the pieces that are gonna go in there. We had a
Yeah.
whenever you have like 3 or 4 pieces that are tall, it's like, well, I guess we
It's
gotta kind of
awful.
have that on the top shelf. But I mean,
Yep.
I guess it probably evens it out a little bit by having a little more headroom for the pieces on the top. But
Did
they
you
do
get
get a lot
pieces
of
in or did you just
sodas.
do your
I just had a couple
participants?
shot glasses in. So
Boy.
we had we had 6 people for the workshop, and each person got between 5 and 9 pieces, I think. Yeah, about 8. 5 and 8. I usually tell people between 6 and 10 or so.
How far did people drive in for?
We had one guy that drove all the way down from Pittsburgh.
Dang.
Drove 5 hours. We had a couple people last time that drove in from St. Louis and Chicago, so 5 hours each for them too.
And these people are staying at a hotel, or where do
Yeah,
they sleep?
yeah, they stayed at a hotel. There's hotels up the street from us. They're $100 a night.
$100 a night. Jeez.
Yeah, so they gotta stay for, or I mean, people. Some people do the Airbnb option, but they
I
can
was gonna
do
say, I don't think I would sleep in $100 a night hotel.
because it's not expensive enough.
No, they're so sketch.
Well, it's like a Hampton Inn or like a Holiday Inn Express. It's not. It's just that there's just so many hotels in that area that
Oh, okay.
it's not like a motel. It's a hotel.
I was gonna say, the last time we stayed in a $100 hotel motel, it was a Motel 6 in Kansas City, and the hubcaps on our car got stolen in the middle of the night.
Did they really?
Yeah, for real.
No, no.
It
These
was
are
awful.
they're in Wilder, Kentucky. They're like 7 minutes from me, so they're super close. But I mean, obviously, if you're closer to downtown Cincinnati, it would be more expensive. But these are
Dude,
just
if you're gonna start doing this, you need to buy a house like it's for Airbnb purposes, and then have them stay there and make money. Like you're bringing money to Cincinnati that you're leaving on somebody else's table, and it's not like a local person. You're giving these hotels
yeah.
free
That
stay where you could legit be getting $1,000 a weekend just in Airbnb fees. You could rake the money in.
you're talking about for renting out individual rooms of it to the different people
Well,
that are in the workshop, or rent the
yeah, like
whole.
I'm saying, like they're spending the weekend together. Why would it just say I have this house with 5 bedrooms? You can each pay $100 a night at the hotel. You can each pay 95 bucks a night at this Airbnb. Hang out with the other participants.
Yeah.
Come over for drinks at my tiki bar in the evening
We
for
didn't have
free.
drinks on Saturday. Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying, dude. You're leaving a lot of table on the money.
A lot of
A
table
lot
on
of
the
money.
money. Okay.
Shut up.
Okay.
I'm
Leaving
just getting
that
excited.
table on the money.
Shut your mouth. I'm saying you could
Yeah.
definitely be bringing more money to your bank, which is kind of the purpose of these workshops.
Well,
And it's
yeah.
building community.
It depends how many workshops we're talking about, but I mean, I get the
You do
idea.
them all the time, dude.
Well, I've
And
done 2 so far this year.
you can Airbnb this thing.
I'm
Let's
shooting to
get
do
this.
6 for the year. Did you actually Airbnb your rental house, or did you never get to that point because you always had an intern living there?
We had an intern in there, yeah, which was exactly what we bought it for, and it was great because that was kind of a way that we paid them. Was
Yeah.
through that, paid their food and everything. So yeah, I mean, it did exactly what we needed it to do.
Yeah. Well, the reservation I would obviously have would be how much work's going to be involved in getting this place and actually getting it like livable, because Rachel's going to go hog wild on this place to
But
make
that's
it
what I'm
look great.
saying. You've
So
got
it'll be fun for
Rachel,
her, but it's like, okay, how much
dude.
like quote unquote management's going to need to happen to make this happen?
None. It's gonna manage itself once it's done. Everything good in life takes time, dude. Maybe I will put one in out
I'm
there.
not saying it's off the table, but it'll take some time.
I'll put that thing on the table. Let's go.
I've I think we've had 1 or 2 people stay at the house in the spare bedroom, but it's literally like right down the hall from us. So it's like I only want to do that for people that I know.
Yeah, it's awkward.
So I also like I want to give them their privacy too. I don't want them to have
Yeah, for
to,
sure.
do their whatever. So um but yeah, it's a good time. So that was the second one. I don't have another one planned just yet, but I just got denials from 2 shows that I found out I didn't get into for the spring. So I'm
Womp
like,
womp.
do I want to like replace one of those weekends with a soda workshop? Maybe
Yeah.
make up some of that money, or like I'm like scrambling to try to find another show to do. that's like a 1 day show or whatever, that I'm like, okay, I could probably get like 1,000 from that or 900 from that show or whatever. But I'm like, maybe I should just do a soda workshop.
For sure you should.
So I was chatting with Rachel because she was asking like, how much do you make off of these? And I'm like, usually it's $200 a ticket. So it's, if I fill it up, it's 1,200 bucks, which I'm like, okay, compared to a show, I feel like that's reasonable. I mean, it's obviously more work because I'm basically working for
Yeah, but you are
Friday,
studying your
Saturday,
soda
Sunday.
kiln. You're studying your soda kiln and everything with other people's pieces. You're learning.
Exactly. Yeah.
You
I
are learning your craft with other people's pieces, and they're paying you to do it. It's more work, but it's
It is pretty nice when they take their stuff home at the end of it and I don't have to worry about cleaning up any
no
pieces.
kidding.
I mean, I don't know how much work's going on in the wear and tear on the kiln, but
You're paying $100 in propane, more or less.
yeah. And then my time, and I mean, it freaking wears me out by Sunday. Took a like 2 hour nap on the couch on Sunday and
Oh
just kind of
yeah.
relaxed. So definitely knocks me out for the weekend, but I mean, I think it's totally worth it. I mean, a lot of the folks that come have never even experienced soda firing before at all, and it's just nice to be able to have
So
access
as
to
you're
something like
as you're
that.
firing, are they staying around and like just watching you and you explain what you're doing? Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah, so
crank
this
up the
time,
heat.
yeah, this weekend they did. Most everybody did stick around. Last firing it was a little off because we fired it through the night because of the
Mm-hmm.
rain, but
Mm-hmm.
this time we started it at 5 a.m. One guy actually came at 5 a.m. when I started because he was really interested in like seeing how it worked from start to finish.
Yep, yep.
So turned it on, and then most people get here about 10 to 11, between 10 and 11.
Mm-hmm.
And then we ended up putting the soda in. Let's see, what was it? I think about 1 o'clock maybe. So we are
And
kind of
is
like
that
looking at
something
it.
people like to watch?
Oh, it looks like we added the first batch of soda at noon. So let's say people got there at 10. We're kind of looking at the kiln, checking on it every hour after that. And then between that hour, I was showing them mixing up the soda mixture, like
Mm-hmm.
with the water and the sawdust and everything, and talking through, like, here's what's in it. Here's kind of the consistency I'm looking for. Here's what we plan to do with, like, we're going to load it at this temperature. We're going to put it in reduction at this temperature. So they were kind of here
Yep.
for the reduction part. They were here to kind of look at the kiln, and so a lot of folks are like interested in how the kiln's built and everything, so people definitely ask about that. um and then we kind of get to the soda mixture and adding the soda in there, so that's the most exciting part, is putting the scoops of soda on the angle iron and putting that in the kiln. So
Do you let participants do that?
oh yeah.
Do you have insurance
Yeah, I have business
in
insurance.
case in case one of them get too close?
Yeah, the actually, somebody this firing, when we were loading it in there, somebody bumped one of the pieces that was in the on that first shelf,
Yep.
and the piece fell into the firebox. And
Yep.
I don't
Done
I don't
that.
I don't know if that individual piece bumped the others, but there were four other pieces on that bottom shelf that stuck together.
Oh no.
So it was like four different people's pieces, and they had to, like, do some surgery to pull them apart and stuff. Um, I think two of them definitely got trashed, and then well, not
But the
trashed,
thing
but
is,
they
the
got broken
participants
up.
are there
Yeah, they weren't too
and
upset about it,
they
but
see it happening where if they just drop it and you fire it and comes back and it's like, oh yeah, render pieces, I could see them being kind of
yeah. And honestly, I don't want to take on all of that work to, like, I've fired the kiln by myself. It's a lot of fucking work. And
yeah.
the even just loading the soda in by myself, like with an angle iron, it hurts your back
Dude,
loading all that
every
in.
time I fired my kiln, I like need to go to the chiropractor.
Yeah,
I think just from loading pots, unloading pots, like it is deep in there.
I think it was more the loading and unloading. I was talking to Rachel's trainer about it, and he was like, it's probably because you're bent over at your waist and you're not in a good position to be picking things up and all that. Like
Yeah.
that's just not good for your back. So
So I think at our new studio, I talked to my supplier, like the stands underneath of my kilns, that like sheet metal stand, they are all at the point where they're gonna fall because they have been like oxidized so much that they're just
Oh,
like falling apart. So he said put them up on cinder blocks, which I know people have done before, but I'm gonna see if I can like put two or three cinder blocks,
oh,
like
really? So you're not bending over
since
so far?
yeah, like I can like just put them down instead of like bending over to tie my shoes. I get a headache bending over because it's like the time change
Yeah,
from where my head is to the floor. I mean, it's a big distance.
because they don't
So
make
yeah,
stands that are that much taller.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay, so cinder blocks, but are you venting them from the bottom or no?
Yeah, I got to figure that out. I'll probably put a cinder block in the middle
Oh,
and put the
okay.
vent.
Yeah, you could space the cinder block out so you just have a little gap in the middle, and I don't know if you have the one
Yeah,
that
for
has like a
sure.
cup on it that like
Yeah, the
sticks to the
spring-loaded
bottom.
cup and it. Yep, 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 yep.
Yeah, that'll probably work okay. Huh. I mean,
If
you
there's
can't
a
really
will,
have
there's a
other
way.
people load it. I mean, I guess they can get a step stool or something if you want them to load it, but
I don't need other people loading it. It's fine.
fucking love
I
loading
mean, we
things.
also have four, so I can leave not all of them so high.
Yeah, that's true.
And then if somebody else wants to load, they can.
Yeah. All right. Do we want to do a listener question here?
Yeah, let's get it.
All right. So we're gonna start with Ceramics by Margaret. She asked, "Do you gravitate to certain glaze colors? What do you think?"
Okay, so I've kind of always wondered this with other potters. Like I would say we're at a point where we would be called production potters. We crank through work. Um, Basically the goal every day is to make as much pottery as we can, not trying to fill a booth anymore like going to a show. Like we're trying to fill gallery. Like our new gallery is 5,000 square feet, so it's a lot of pots. So when I'm making, let's say I'm making 100 mugs a day, 100 pots, I have two options. Do I glaze what I like or do I glaze what I think is gonna sell? Like how when you're picking what to glaze, what do you go not necessarily what color? Do you gravitate towards what combinations sell better or what combinations you like?
I tend to, I mean, obviously the glaze combos are coming from a base of something that I do like. So, I have a bunch of test tiles that I start with back in the day when I started glazing, and I come up with combos that I prefer over others, and those are going to be the first ones that I try out. They've
Yeah.
evolved over the years, but like blue and green, my Joe's green and floating blue, that's the most popular color. Like the selling of it definitely factors into how much I'm going to gravitate to it.
So wait, you
Um,
mix the two together,
yeah, so I dip Joe's green first,
the
a
entire
portion
mug.
down. No, I dip probably 2 inches of the rim. Let's say it's a mug. I dip about 2 inches of the rim in Joe's green first, and then
Hmm.
fill the inside with floating blue, and then dip the entire outside with floating blue. And
The
the
entire
green is
outside.
gonna
Okay.
run. So I don't tend to like an overlap where it covers the entire mug, mostly because I don't want to worry about it running too much and sticking to the shelf. But I
Hmm.
kind of like that gradation. Gradation is that the kind of it's varied from the rim down to the bottom. So my mugs are
Yeah.
kind of like split in half with like an overlap and then kind of a single color on the bottom.
Hmm.
So I do tend to gravitate to those like blues and greens. My Joe's green is
Yeah.
popular with the floating blue. That's the most popular, and then I have other variations of that. So like my Tomoku with the floating blue, like that's got blue in it, but it's also got brown. My juicy turquoise is like a lighter green. That looks good with floating blue. So like a bunch of combos of blues and greens always do well. But I do
Yeah.
try if I try to add in a new color, it's not going to be another blue and green color. It's going to be um like I've been playing around with the Tomoku and the Inferno Red, which is like a copper. So the brown and the red, but like it's kind of dark. So I'm like I like it. It's kind of metallic-y. It's got kind of a interesting microcrystal-y look when it's overlapped, but I don't think it's going to do amazing, but I want to try it and see if people gravitate to it.
Yeah.
So like I like to add some of those in there. I would say generally I gravitate to more of the like earthier, more layered glaze. If it's just a simple glaze by itself, but it's got some depth to it, I think I'm more
Yeah.
gravitated to that more so than like a specific color. But I would say those tend to lean more like Tomoku brown, like coppery, like those kind of tones.
Hmm. Yeah. Yep. 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 Yep.
But people don't people like the brighter colors more, I think.
Yeah. I would say like sales wise for me, blues sell really well. It's funny. One of my combinations that I just started doing, and it's been actually probably one of our best sellers since Christmas, is it called Chum Green? Let me think about
Chun
this.
green.
No, wait. I dip the entire mug in floating blue, and then I dip about 2/3 in Chum Green, Chum Seafoam, maybe something like that. John Brett, and
Mm.
it makes a real sweet, like runny, melty blue, drippy with little white like chunks. It's pretty sweet.
Is that similar to the Panama red in the oxidation, where it's like a green
No,
copper, like a light green?
no. If it's just by itself, an oxidation cone 5-6, it is like it's like a sea foam green, but
Okay.
it'll break into like a honey yellow, but then it'll also get flashes of like some dark purpley in it sometimes.
Oh.
It's a fun glaze.
So it's got some variation. It's not just a
Yeah.
straight blue or green.
Yep. And I've started noticing the more variation I can get like in drip or colors or fades or whatever, the better those pieces do. Like my just if you just dip a mug in red, it's just boring. It sells, but it's not like gravitational pull towards it, where the other ones that have depth like in there in the runs and the bleeds, everything. Those, so for example, my Rutile white over my Timoku,
Hell yeah. I've been doing
that
that. That's
thing's
fucking nice.
freaking nuts.
I
And
didn't
it just
mention
like,
that because I knew you were gonna mention it.
oh dude, that thing explodes. And I've actually figured out like the
Teal white is a
thickness.
great combo. Great with
That thing
a
is
lot of colors.
nuts. But isn't it full of Custer feldspar?
I just got a new recipe off of Glazy actually. I just
Did it
tried it.
work?
It looks good. Yeah.
Good. Because I bought a whole lot of Custer, so I'm good for a while. But but yeah,
But
that
yeah, we're
thing
gonna mix up
blows
a new
up.
batch with a lot.
We
Not
call it
blows up like in the kiln. It's
no, no,
popular.
no. Like it, well, yeah, but like just the colors explode in the kiln. Like you would think Timoku and white boring, but like that, dude, it's nuts. We call it Aurora Borealis, because it legit looks like
Hmm.
something is going on in the night sky. It's cool.
So you get
S-
excited about those because of the layering and the just variation
yeah,
you're getting from just two colors, two glazes where it really reveals like whether it's a third color or just the little subtleties where they like overlap and you get some like interest
yep,
there.
yep.
Oh
And then
yeah.
let's see, I've got three that I'm doing. What's the other one? Oh, that Chum Seafoam, dip the whole thing, and then dip an inch of it in that Timoku. Woo! It just turns into like a sunset with like green fields underneath of it. Dude, it is
Mm,
awesome. Especially when it's sprayed onto a texture. Dear God.
mm.
I don't usually get excited for glazes, but those. So I also fire to a cone 5, and all of those I have to fire to cone 6. Give a little hold and let it bleed. Oh, it's
So you have a completely
it's
separate firing for those, or do you have other glazes
yeah.
that are willing to go to cone six and it's not
I
an issue?
have my white is willing to go to 6. Yeah, I've got my copper, which I don't really have anymore. I've got about an inch left in the bucket. It'll go to cone 6. However, my B mix with speckles will not. It bloats at cone 6.
Mm, okay.
So that's where I've got to be careful because I think, oh, it's dipped in white. Let's stick it in a cone 6 to fill it. Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, okay.
I do like a cow print, Dalmatian print. I live in Kansas, so everybody says, "Oh, it's cow print." It definitely looks more like a Dalmatian, but you got to play up.
Who'd you steal that design from?
Nobody
Does somebody else
from
do that design? I feel like I've seen it recently.
Hammerly
Maybe somebody that
Snow
Maybe somebody that has it's like a cow form though. It's like a hoof or something.
No, Jesse uses decals for his spots.
Oh,
He
okay. I
doesn't.
thought he did a similar technique to you, or I thought you did similar
No,
technique to him.
he might have thought that, but he does decals because I printed them for him.
Oh, okay. All right.
Um, but it's like Himmerly Snow Leopard.
Yeah, that stuff is chunky. When he's spraying that.
Yeah, but I don't do that. What I do is I just dip it in white, let it dry for a day, and then I take a toilet brush and my black, dip it down in, then I just like start throwing it all over the white.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Himmerly uses like a ceiling spatter
It's like a
gun
spray gun for. Is
for
it like
popcorn
spackle?
ceilings.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, I couldn't remember the function of that. I had a question. So, have you had variation in your firings from cone 5 to cone 6 throughout the kiln at all? Where you've
Or
loaded it and it's not been even throughout?
no,
Okay.
I have good kilns. They're reliable.
Damn it. This was you're supposed to say yes, and then I'm supposed to be like, okay, well, did you know that L&Ls don't do that? They have zone control, so you don't have that issue.
Oh, see, I've got five scats, so
Okay, we'll just disregard what he just said. Um,
I can't advertise for people I've never used.
all right,
New
so for
co-host.
there you go. All right. He's using the brand that rhymes with mutt. Um, yeah, so L&L zone control is what I'm talking about. Oh, all right. Isaac, you failed me.
I would gladly get a plug-in fire. I need it all the time. I'm literally need to fire five little mushrooms as a trial tonight.
Oh man,
Um,
you need one of those plug-in fires.
I do need a plug-in fire,
Well,
but
it only if you could get to Nsika. They're giving away plug-in fires.
well, I will
Not
be
this
in
year.
South America, so
Maybe you can sign up for one next year
maybe
when they do
since I'm a
that.
co-host
Oh yeah.
of We'll Talk. And when I'm co-hosting, I've gotta know what I'm advertising.
There we go. All
In the
right.
meantime,
So for the folks that are going to Nsika, they are giving away three of them. One of them is at their booth. They're at booth 508. Stop by and see them. Becca said they have a bigger booth this year, which is nice. They're doing a plug and fire kiln giveaway. So it's the one that we've been doing, plugs into 120 volt and fires with 12 and a half amps. So you're not worried about tripping that breaker. They're doing that giveaway. And then they're doing a giveaway at the K through 12 exhibition. And they're going to give one to a teacher and their student from the exhibition. So it says that they're going to do some voting. So vote for your favorite work. I don't know exactly how that's going to happen, but they're going to have some info on their website about that. And then they've got some kilns at their booth. So what size kilns are yours?
I have
Are
an
these the 7 cubic foot
818.
kilns?
I have a Scut 818, two Scut 1027s, a Scut 1227, and I have a Premier Scut 1027 soda kiln.
Mm, all right. So your 7 cubic foot, the 1027, those are equivalent to the Easy Fire E23T 3, which is a 240 volt single phase. That's L&L's most popular model. They have that at their booth. They also have a smaller one that is I believe it's a 3 cubic foot. It's the E18S3. That's a single phase 240 volt. And then they've also got a production level one that's 10 cubic feet. This is the E Quad
Oops.
Pro Series E2827. So that's a big boy. And you can pre-order them now. You can reach out to sales@hotkilns.com to get that discounted kiln before it's gone. If you're planning to get there, get that kiln. They're on the West Coast for the Nsika, so they're located over on the East Coast. So if you're not, um, get a discounted kiln while they're out there and get in contact with them. Let them know Wheel Talk sent you. And Isaac, where do you find all this info about L&L kilns?
Hotkilns.com.
There we go.
I have looked.
Hotkilns.com.
I have looked at one. I really want one. I'm not gonna lie. I have been in the market, and we've talked when we move up there. When we go get new ones, we will probably try an L&L.
Ooh, there we go. All right.
I will not lie. I've only heard good things.
Only heard good things. That's great. All right. Do we want to do another listener question?
Yep.
All right. This one comes from Sean Reed Pottery. It reads, your own website or Etsy as a newbie? Did you ever sell on Etsy?
I never did. No, I
You're generally familiar with how it's set up
yeah,
and the costs and all that stuff, though.
I tried to when I was first starting. I actually listed a lot of stuff, never sold anything on it, but I made listings, I put prices, everything. Never once got a sale.
When was that? That would have probably been a number of years ago,
Probably
right?
2014, probably.
Okay. I was gonna guess 10 years ago, so it's pretty close.
Yep,
All
I
right.
have only ever really sold from my own website.
And when did you like start selling online? Did you already have a generally an established business by then before you started in that area, or did
We
you?
had just done shows and everything, but I really, let's see, the first time I went to NCECA would have been 2019 in Minneapolis. And before that, I just made basic bitch, just pots, you know. And when I went to NCECA, I kind of thought, you know what, I need something a little bit better. So I started doing those line mugs. Do you remember those?
Yeah, with all the different colors and their kind of vertical
Yeah.
lines on the whole side,
Yep.
outside.
Yep. That's when I started making those was to have something more artsy at NCECA. And then after I came home, it kind of blew my mind. It was the first time seeing real good pots, you know? And since Southern Kansas, you just don't, there's not many options. And it was after that that I started kind of doing the Instagram game more. I had met people, networked with them, and then started selling online after that.
Okay. So you already had a general sense of business and selling and what kind of products would
Yeah, we had done
do
shows and
decent
everything
there and
for sure.
okay. So if you were a newbie, what would you recommend for like a newbie? Maybe they don't have
I
that sales experience.
I mean, I always 1000% recommend shows. Don't even try online as a newbie because I mean, you've gotta pay the price. You've got to get in front of actual humans. You've got to wake up at 5 to lug all your crap across the state. I mean, that's just the dues you've got to pay.
All right, I
Um,
like that. I like option C.
I mean, yeah, if you're only wanting to sell
I agree.
online,
Yeah.
I get it, but it's like you learn so much about your own product seeing people review it in front of you. I
Right.
mean, there's so much growth that happens when you have to literally put your face. I mean, that's just the world that we've came to. It's kind of ridiculous. Like growing up, you had to go to an interview to get a job.
Right.
Like
You can't just send in your resume and be
you
like, "All right,
have
they're
to
gonna get in
put
contact with."
yourself out there
Yeah.
and literally a craft art show is you interviewing with the world if your shit's good or not. And I remember like we did several shows here in Harper and like my first show ever after I came back from South America with Karina, we just made and they were shit pots, man, but we sat up at the senior center in Harper. They had a Christmas show with the local art ladies who were all, you know, 80 or 90 years old trying to live their artistic dream, whatever. And so they invited this new guy in town who they all knew me. I grew up in Harper. They were excited we were back home making pots. But like literally everybody from our church came and bought a pot and we sold $1,000 at. And so we were like, holy crap, this is awesome. Shows are easy. You're gonna make $1,000. Then the next show in Harper, you know, we're still new, we're back in town. People wanted to support. I remember our first show, like going to Wichita, we were like, all right, this is the first like real trial.
Yeah.
Is our stuff good? Like, are we gonna go? Dude, we crashed and burned. Like nobody knew us. They're not just buying to support us. Like they want to buy
Yeah.
real good pots. And it was like my first interview with the world is if your stuff is good, and it wasn't. But if I was just sitting behind a screen at home, I'm not finding that out, you know?
Right.
Like, and if you are, it's coming back in a negative review, like saying, I got this piece, it had a sharp edge on the bottom. And you're like,
Yeah,
oh crap.
you've got to hope that they're going to give you feedback because it's totally up on their side of it if they want to give you anything. And you don't really get any sense of, the people that stop by and look at your website or your Etsy or whatever, like what
Yeah,
do they
you have
think
no
about
clue.
it? What do they, did they put it in their cart and then they saw the shipping price and they were like, "Nah, no thanks." Or
But you
was
can
it
you can see people pick up your mug and put it back down.
right?
And
And
then
you
you
can
can
ask them
learn
in the
from that.
moment. You could be like, "Hey,
For
what,
sure,
do you
dude.
you can't add personality to it when you just
No.
have I mean, you can have your website with all the other stuff around it and how you talk about your work and all that. You don't have too much. I mean, you've got a description, you've got a title, you've got the photos, and that's kind of about all you've got to
I mean, it's also for me, it's almost like interviewing for a job flesh to flesh, like in the flesh. That sounded real. I'm really sorry about that. But like an interview in the flesh compared to an interview on a text message. When it's digitalized text message, you can bring any personality you want when you're reading that. And it's the
hmm
same thing. When they leave a review, when you don't sell anything, you can really mind fuck yourself a lot about, oh, I didn't make any sales. Well, but you were this close, but you didn't see it. Where,
Yeah.
you can see that as a show and you can have interactions. You grow so freaking much more when you put yourself out there. I don't care if you're introverted as hell. You have to be out in front of people to sell your work.
hmm
And then once you know how to sell and you know your product and you know how to interact with humans, you can do it online. If you can't sell, that's why galleries exist, man. If you can't sell, send it to a gallery, they'll sell it for you. But like, it's tough starting out online. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That seems like the toughest thing.
Well, if I had to pick one of the two, just based on the question, I would lean toward Etsy because I'm always on the lowest. I want to put the lowest level of expense I can while I'm learning. Like if you're
Okay.
going to do shows, I would do the lowest, um, like the lowest price shows because you don't, you want the
Yeah.
low risk. You don't want to, I want to go to a farmer's market for $25 or I want to do that local art show for $50
Yeah.
or whatever. I don't want to spend, obviously it's a big accomplishment to jury into a show for $400 booth fee and you're
No
like
way,
you
dude.
feel great, but it's a steep hill to climb when you get there and you don't know what you're doing and you don't have any experience talking to people. And,
Yeah. If
your
you're if
work
you're
can speak
brand
for itself
new,
to a point, but I mean,
the
it's
only way to get people to your website is funneling from social media. And if you're new, you're not doing that either. I mean, Etsy is about the only way to start if that's how you're going to start because they have clients who are on their website.
yeah. Yeah, so
And you
I
have
would lean
that.
toward that. You're paying a listing fee and then you don't pay their cut until it sells. So,
But I would also
it,
start paying the marketing fee on there too. If you're new,
yeah, I haven't done that too much. I did it here and there, but yeah, you've got to be willing to experiment a little bit with I'm still learning what specific nowadays I'm kind of like picking and choosing what glaze combos I want to put online because some of them are more attractive through pictures digitally than
Mhm.
they would be in person at a show or um certain forms are more likely to sell than others. So, you got to be choosy, but if you if you just try to put like everything up there and just have a big inventory, like, I think you got to curate it a little bit. But you kind of got to go through that to figure it out. Like if I didn't do all these shows to figure out what glaze colors are the most popular, I wouldn't know, hey, why don't I try to put my most popular glaze colors from shows online and see how they do? Or
Mhm.
go through if you're doing through social media, like which colors do people resonate with the most? Doesn't mean they're guaranteed to buy it, but at least it gives you a sense of like, hey, people really
Right.
like this. So it gives you some information of like what direction you might want to go with it. But there's obviously other factors of, attention. There's so much attention with other stuff on digitally these days and your phone and advertisements and all that stuff that you're just lost in a sea. But like Isaac's saying, go to a show. Like people are at least physically there in that moment, so like you have a I think you have a better opportunity to get their attention and actually like
Oh yeah.
work your way into closer to a sale. I mean, you don't have to like car salesman it, but just be nice. We were talking about this over the weekend. There's an attendee that does shows, and he's like, I don't enjoy talking to people as much. Like I kind of want the work to speak for itself a little bit, but you gotta meet them in the middle a little bit. Like you've said before, like half of it is the work and half of it is you. Like they wanna they
Yep.
wanna support you. They want to get to know you, and yeah, that's what goes into it. It doesn't have to be like tactics
But,
necessarily.
but you also don't want them buying a piece to get out of your booth. Like that's the only escape route. That's not how you sell pots.
Have you had that?
No, hell no. Because I don't. I no. I don't talk to people when they come in my booth. If they offer conversation, then I start going.
Have you done that?
But
Have you bought something to get out of somebody's booth?
no, I never have. I just leave. But there's people that do that.
You're like, I need to end this conversation.
No, no, I don't. I would never spend money to leave somebody's booth. I'd say, "Hey, I'll be right back."
Mm-hmm.
I heard that before.
Okay, okay.
You make all of this?
Yeah, I feel like I'm just numb to those questions now. Like I'm just like some people just want to chat. I don't know. Some people get all bent out of shape when they hear those questions all the time, and they're just like, I hate going to shows because I get all the same questions all the time. It's like,
Have I ever told you about my friend who has art show bingo?
no. I
I
mean,
need to get this.
I can
I need to
guess what
get
that
this for you.
is. Totally just a
She
bunch of
has
quotes that
made,
people say.
yep, but she has made her own bingo card and she takes it to her shows just for entertainment value. Like, oh, you know what you should do? Yep, that's on there. Oh, if you had this, but just in red, I would totally buy it. Yeah, that's on
Yeah.
there.
Or I used to make pottery in high school. Or
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, my brother does something like this. Would you take $5 for this mug?
yeah. Is this ceramic or pottery? What's this? Do you make all this?
Can this go in the microwave? Oh, yeah, there's a lot of questions.
Yep.
Anyways, so does that answer the
Yeah. Sean Reed. Thanks for that question, Sean. Sean asked a lot of questions, so thanks for always sending us good ones.
it's the first one I've ever heard?
Oh, okay. I see his name on here. Maybe it's because I need to ask some more from him. He's got another one on here. All right. We're to the topic for the day. Topic of discussion for today.
Wait, are we not doing like the meet your maker thing?
I mean, we can. Do you want to do the oh yeah, since you're thinking about it. Yeah, let's do it. Maker of the
Is it?
moment. It's not meet
Oh,
your maker. Meet your maker. That sounds like something you do before you die.
yeah, that's it. Sorry about the smoker's cough.
Which maker do you want to meet before you die?
Holy.
Okay, do you know yours offhand? You ready for
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
All right, who is it?
So my meet your maker would be
Maker of the moment. Get it right, dude.
whatever moment maker. Sorry, we had the flu like last week, and that cough, just the residual cough, will not go away. Um, my meet your maker is Nathan Bray. Is it Bray Pottery on Instagram?
Bray Pottery. That is right.
This guy's
Yep.
stuff is freaking killer. It is awesome. Um, it's I love so like what I think when I think of his work is the like intricate handle and the little feet that he puts underneath of every. I do not own one of these. I have seen these like at Ensika. I would really like to get one at some point, but reminds me of like the claw feet bathtubs or like the fancy couches with like tassels and stuff. It has those sweet little feet like a
Hmm.
tripod. But then like he doesn't just have like one style. So he has a style of the form, but then he'll paint them all. He's really on a big Trump kick right now, which is
Hmm.
cool. And so if you go to their page, currently it's loaded with things like that, which is great. Um,
Yep.
Not what I'm necessarily drawn to in his work, but I totally understand where he's coming from, respect it. But like he has very painterly styles where just colors are going at it, but it's not sloppy. It's extremely done, like professionally. Lots of gold luster, lots of overglazes. Not sure where Nathan lives. I don't know if I've ever like
Yeah, it's hard.
messaged.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know
hard
if
to.
I've spoke with him through messages. I talk with a lot of people.
Yeah, I can't quite
Um,
tell. Maybe on his website. I wonder. See on his. He's got an Etsy site. Trying to see. He's got some stuff in different galleries in like
yeah, I think he's in Companion.
Minnesota and yeah, I'm trying to see. Doesn't say a city on his contact shop owner. Yeah, it doesn't say on his Etsy. Wonder if on his actual website. He's got some stuff in Northern Clay Center, Duluth Pottery Art Gallery, Charlie Cummings. So Duluth is Minnesota. So I'm guessing
Yeah, it's
he's
Minnesota.
yeah, he's probably in Minnesota, I suspect.
Sounds right, actually,
Yeah, he's
but I don't know.
I was telling Isaac before it kind of reminds me of like Myolica a little bit and we're in somebody else's work that's got more of this kind of like the fine line work, kind of like designer liner blacks, like the thin line work on top of the bright colors. And yeah, it's like an abstract painting on a mug, but it's not like the mug is subpar. Like if you just saw this mug with a glaze on it, it would still look amazing. But it's just like the movement of the mug with the movement of the drawing and everything is really nice. Yeah, I love it.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, he's got some cool stuff.
Yeah, he's
All right.
good, man. He's real good.
So Nathan Bray Pottery on Instagram, and I just shared it in our stories, so that'll be on our Maker of the Moment tag. Mine is Austin Riddle. So his Instagram is Austin Riddle Pottery on Instagram, and he has a lot of, I think it's terra sigillata work. So it's very, I actually picked some up. I think it in Sika last year, or maybe he was at Michigan Pottery Tour in the past. But it's got a lot of like that matte, satin matte finish, and he's got the red clay. So it's got that nice contrast to the lighter color terracage.
Hmm.
And it's just really pretty simple forms, but I think I remember it from the picking them up at oh, he did have some soda fired work. Okay. I was gonna say I thought he had some soda stuff. He did some soda or salt fired work. That was in 2020. I think he was doing some sales, but I think that was when I first found him. He was doing some bright colored soda stuff, but it's yeah, it's really nice stuff. He's got some of the chunky handles, but um yeah, really good. So you can look him up. I'm trying to pick a photo to post. Yeah, we'll do one of these. He's got some stuff in tandem. I'm not sure. Let's see, where is he located? Syracuse, New York, by Tennessee area. Sweet. All
Old
right,
area.
I'm gonna share that one. Austin Riddle.
Riddle me this.
Riddle me this, riddle me that. Yeah, some of these people's work when you see them in person at like in Sika, it's like, man, I definitely. That's one thing I definitely like to do. I add add new people to my followers when I start seeing their stuff actually in person, discovering
Hmm.
their stuff. Um, Moment. Okay. Usually Becca's doing this, so I'm scattering to get all this shared. Okay, maker of the moment. Good. Sweet. All right, now we're to the topic of the day,
There we go.
which is I want to talk about decals and logo mugs.
Decals?
Yeah, you've been doing some decal work for a while. How long have you been doing decal work?
I've done a couple decals in my day.
Just a couple.
Let's see. My very first decals would have been back in about 2014.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's been a while. And they were all the old sepia laser ones. And then I got an order wanting color, so I researched that, found a color printer, well, like person who printed for me with their color printer, I believe in 2015.
Oh
And
damn.
then
That's pretty quick.
yeah, I've been doing colored decals since then.
Okay. Are that
But yeah, for a
I don't
while.
I don't know a ton about decals from the different options that are available, but are they always a third firing or are there some that are do they always
Um,
have to be fired
I
on?
can't I can't say that there aren't any that are less. I don't have experience with any that are less than three firings.
Okay.
They're like an overglazed decal. So
Right.
you
So
need
they
your
have to go
you need the flux of the glaze for it to transfer on good, if that makes sense. I have done it on bisque. I know people like Justin Roshank who has decaled greenware.
Oh.
Um, but it's and you know when I really started digging into it during COVID times, I talked a lot with Justin Roshank, and he was like, I mean, yeah, you've got your rules, but just play. I mean, there's nothing that says you can't play with them. So yeah, I stuck them on greenware. I stuck them on bisqueware. Especially when I do like my wall mugs. Like I was at a point where I was decaling a lot at bisque. And it would really like partially get on, partially not, because it will not stick. You've really got to work it in. It's easier on greenware than it is on bisque. But they're definitely made to go over glazes.
Right.
I would not recommend starting out with them on greenware unless you know exactly what you're doing, firing to, and you have experience. But yeah, so I mean, you can do whatever you want with them, but they are designed for a third fire. Yeah, correct.
Okay. And they're different temperatures too. Like you started with the
Yeah.
iron ones. Can you talk about the iron like what is the difference between
So the
them?
iron ones are basically printed on a laser jet and not just any laser jet. There's specific ones that print better. They have more iron in the laser that's used, and it basically creates like an iron oxide
It's in
design on this.
the toner, right?
It's in the toner of the laser.
Okay.
And then that is printed on that water slide decal paper. Um, and those only will print basically like sepia tone. You can't get black. You can only get like iron oxide colors. And so
Which is it's kind of a traditional kind. Is that Justin Rawshank's known for that in a lot of his work,
yeah, that kind of
right?
sepia. Yep, 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 yep.
Right.
And that fires to 04 is what I would fire those to.
Oh, so Bistemp.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah. But then the thing is, I mean, you've got to really learn your glazes and which ones do good because some glazes, like for example, my red right now, it fires to cone 5 and it is a glossy, really nice cherry red. But you stick that to 04 and it comes out a very matte, kind of gross red. It's still red.
Oh,
Um,
for the third firing, you fire to oh
for the
4 and
third
it really
firing,
changes it.
yeah, it changes your glaze. So I got to the point where I was only decaling on white. And I still only take orders basically on white glaze because that white glaze is not changing at 04.
Hmm.
It stays constant.
It's also not going to conflict with the colors that you're doing the color
Correct.
decals now, but it's not going to
Correct.
change the color because of your glaze underneath it.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
Okay, so the ones you're doing now, they're still decals, but they're overglazed decals with color.
They're an overglazed color, correct?
Okay,
And they
and that color
fire. Go ahead.
is that color that's still toner, but it's just a different
So it's a
different
ceramic
process.
toner. It's ceramic pigments that are in this printer. And it prints with them, but then you have to put a flex sheet on top of it. So you can laminate. Basically, think of clear glaze on a paper that you then laminate on top. And when you fire that, kind of it kind of like fluxes below so that that pigment will mix into the existing glaze. Then that flux paper is like a clear glaze that encases that image
Mm,
inside. So it's not gonna fade, it's not gonna
okay.
smear, scratch. It's very permanent.
Have you ever tried it without the flux paper on top?
Yeah, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Okay.
No,
Because
it's just
because
powder.
when you're sliding, there is actually two layers there. The flux is sitting on
The
top of the
the
image, and then
flux is on top of the image and it pulls that image off the paper. When you don't have that flux sheet and you put the printed image into the water, that the like dust that it's printed on literally just separates from the paper and flakes off.
oh, okay. So the flux paper
And then
actually
just
holds the image together and keeps
it
it
holds the
legible.
image together. So it's also like a very plastic, like it's very brittle, it'll break.
Right.
And you've got to learn how to work with it. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not an easy. I mean, way back when, I used to always be like, "Yeah, these decals are stupid, kind of cheating." I remember saying to Karina, "I'll never use those. They're so dumb." Um, and here I am. It's like our number one moneymaker, you know. But it's not as easy as you think. Where you're like, "Oh, mold makers, those are not potters." If you ever try to make a mold and make a good one, like, dude, they're artists.
Yeah.
Same thing with decals. Like, yeah, you can get some real cheesy, dumb ones that, oh
Other
yeah, I'll be
people
the,
can get access to, and it's just,
yeah,
you
like
just
you can
order
buy
it and
some real dumb ones, throw them on, whatever. But you can actually be very creative in creating decals and how they're applied. Just like the whole firing them on bisque or on greenware, the different effects that it does. But then like Roshank, he'll also be layering multiple different layers of decals. So like your iron oxide, a second firing to glaze, and then overglaze decals to cone 010, and then like a platinum or gold decal to 018. So
hmm
there's multiple different firing techniques. And I mean, he has a cool collage design that he's known for, and it works great. But it's not easy to just grab these, throw them on, collage them around, and you've got a Justin
Yeah.
Rossink mug. Like
And it has to look it can't just look like a sticker on top.
yeah,
It's gotta be
yeah,
cohesive with whatever the form
exactly
is.
right.
Unless you're just going for a white mug with a logo, which is what some people are, you know, wanting to buy from you. So it's got that
Right.
branding to it, but it's not,
Yeah,
it's
so
not
we do a
just
lot
a
of branding like that for sure.
yeah. And then he does some with like atmospheric fired, and then he puts the decals
Hmm.
on and refires the atmospheric pots, like the soda fired pots or the wood fired
Yeah,
pots.
I've soda fired decals before. Um, so like a finished
Oh.
piece, a completely 100% finished wall mug. I sent a whole show basically of finished wall mugs and flasks and vases and bowls to Roshank, and he soda fired them way back when. And just demolished those decals, but like on an old wall, it worked perfect. I
hmm
mean, it kind of washed some out. It left the ghost image of some. It had some of that crusty juice dripping over the top. Um, so yeah, it's there's a lot you can do with them. And then that's just the decals I know. Then you have the underglaze decals, like the transfer paper and stuff. I've
hmm
never even touched that world. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
you can do a lot.
So so you said they're a big money maker. How are people like contact you? What are they kind of contacting you with? Like what's your typical order for something integrating, and your headphone just fell out, but what's like a typical order that somebody's coming to you with where you're like, okay, a decal is a good option for
Uh,
them.
Mugs with their logo.
Okay.
I mean, we crank through white mugs with logos on them. Like the ones I'm literally working on right now are going to a women's church conference. It's going to be white mugs and it has their yearly logo. Every year they order 50 of them for April. And it's just a white mug, gets their logo on the front and out the door.
Okay. Sweet. 50 of them
Um,
and you just get that repeat.
yeah,
Are
every single year,
are
50
people
of them.
coming, is it just word of mouth and new people? Because I feel like you don't advertise that you do it. Is it just
I don't try to advertise it. I try to keep like my social media pages more like an actual cohesive brand of pottery, and
Mm-hmm.
our advertisement mugs I don't feel are part of that. So I don't really do it. Every now and then, like I'll have a big order and I'll do a reel of me decaling them, and then several orders will come in. But like
Okay.
our realtor that we're using, I just, I mean, I market him a little bit. So like this guy, he's awesome. He's a good friend now. And I had 3 extra mugs from an order that they were glazed. I always do about 2 or 3 extra in case the decal burns out bad. So I had some extra mugs, so I just took his logo. He's a big commercial hunter, but he's also a real estate agent. So I took his logo, put it in the middle. Then I printed off like deer and pheasant and quail and all the different animals and collaged this, like all these animals interacting with his logo. And when
Oh,
he came the
cool.
other day, I just had him on the table and he walked in and he loved them. And so now he was over today. He came in to check in on us and stuff, and he's like, "Dude, I want to order those things as closing gifts. So when we close a deal,
Hell yeah.
um, and so it's just marketing like that. Like we used to, we would fall in love with different coffee shops and different places, and we would make mugs and throw their logos on them, and basically cold call." Just send them to them and say, "Hey, we can make these. If you like them, great. If you don't, here's a free gift. We like your coffee." Sometimes it
Ooh.
works, sometimes it doesn't. Our contractor doing our gallery right now, I'm gonna throw his logo on some mugs. And this is a big contractor up in Newton. I mean, he's got 5 crews all working, and I can guarantee you he's gonna see it, he's gonna love it, and he'll probably order some, not as closing gifts, but as when you finish a big project. Hey, here's a mug, here's my phone number on the back. Thanks for doing business.
Yeah. 'Cause those are big
We've
projects. I mean, it's like, tens of thousands of dollars a project.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
a $40 mug or whatever it costs for him,
yeah.
probably
Like
less
this
than
guy,
that for whatever he
there's a
pays
guy
for
in
it. But
town. There's a guy in town that buys all wrecked trucks and he refurbishes them and sells them. And he ordered a load of mugs from us for years. And every time he sold one of these trucks, he gave them a mug that had a truck on the front with his brand, his phone number, and everything. Um, I think we charged him 25 bucks a mug. And he literally, like, if you looked at the receipts that these people bought their trucks, like it says the truck, $25,000, um, fees, taxes, and fees. He just put a $25 fee in there that nobody ever questioned. And they were just buying their mug, which I don't know how people do business or think more realistically. But I mean, he's like, I'm helping you out to get started while you're going. He would order 20 to 50 of these mugs. And I mean, but all places do that. I mean, you go buy a big car from a big place, Cincinnati, they're going to give you a mug. They're going to give you a whole freaking bag full of koozies and
yeah,
stupid shit. They charge you for that. I mean, it's all worked in.
it's
They're not
baked into
losing
it,
money. For sure it is. And so he's just doing the
and at
same
least it's
thing. He,
personalized, and it's also, hey, this is
yep,
somebody that's local
yep, exactly.
that we're supporting, so it makes them look good, but it also, gets your name out there a little
Yep,
bit. And he's like, hey, this is part of my customer service of what I provide for them. So,
yep. So, but there's like an up and coming restaurant in Wichita. It started in Wichita and it is now spread. I think they're in 8 states, 6 or 8 states. I don't remember. But anyways, every single one of their restaurants now carries our mugs in their gift store. So they order 15 mugs per restaurant at a time. And we're constantly making them. She just texted me today and ordered for another one down in Arkansas. Their restaurant's out, so they ordered 15 mugs. She's coming on Friday to pick up like 60 for like Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, Arkansas, I think Oklahoma maybe. But they're just starting to spread. So like
wow.
restaurant mugs like that, and that's literally a white mug with their decal in the middle.
Okay.
City branding, so like our city of Harper, we have a Harper flag. We put that on and sell a boatload of those.
Ooh, yeah.
You could easily brand it with like Cincinnati and send it to the mayor and the board, like the city council, and
Yeah.
guaranteed they're gonna buy Christmas gifts next year. I mean, it's all, and if they don't, guess what? You lost a mug,
Who
but
cares? You made a connection, and they probably
you
didn't even
can
know you're a
gain
business. You know,
exactly,
you're getting your name out there of like, somebody on the city council now knows you're a business that's local
exactly.
that literally lives down the street,
And chances are they have a business that they
and
own
maybe they'll come
and
down
they're
the
gonna
street and
come.
visit your
Yep.
show or
Yep.
okay. How
So like this
so
dude, so this realtor the other day, like this realtor, um, he closed a different property here. A family from Alabama bought this farm up here and they closed. So they came up and he had just met me and Karina, met our store from the gallery, and he has it listed on his website. And he goes, "You know what? You just bought this house here in Harper. You're from Alabama. It's a vacation home for hunting." He says, "Why don't you go check out this guy? He's got a pottery gallery over here." They came over and they basically furnished this new house with pots. And
hell yeah.
that all came because I happened to make this dude three mugs with his logo on them.
Hell yeah.
And so now he's like, whenever he's closing properties, he's sending people to this little Gallery Mostasa down out in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, and people are buying pots for their houses. And
Hell
it's all
yeah.
because we take chances and um we give people free shit
So
with
how
their
much like
logo.
how much did that cost you in those 3 mugs? Like
Mm,
just
Probably $90, $30 a mug. Because I did full wraps on them. I didn't do just his logo. Like,
yeah, you didn't just stick a single logo on there.
no,
And
I
you
went
really
all out for him.
customized it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But
90
they
bucks
also
and the goodwill of, putting in some extra effort and,
But when people receive gifts, man, it means so much more.
and it's handmade, like,
And it's
you're not,
handmade.
yeah. Okay, okay. So obviously you have the machine, so like you have the ability to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I mean, I suspect people can do that with they could do other things besides decals. They could make stamps or
Oh
they could do
yeah.
something to customize it if they wanted to make it a little more personal for them.
We've
I think just
actually kind of
giving even just
transferred.
giving people the product without the customization, I think is nice too.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. I think you've done this. I know Josh has done this, like sending it to people that you like on social media and stuff that you follow, or there's like podcasts you listen to and send them stuff. Have you done that? Maybe I'm thinking
Not
Josh.
necessarily that, but like for example, I make Kansas City Chiefs mugs.
Yeah.
Have you seen those?
Oh yeah.
So a friend in a town just north of here, her church was doing a fundraiser, and apparently the guy that is inside the Kansas City Chiefs mascot, the Wolf, apparently in the off season, he's a motivational speaker. So this dude, the Wolf, the Kansas City Wolf mascot, spoke at a church 30 miles north of here, and the lady came down and said, "Hey, we're having like a Chiefs night. What are the chances we can purchase some of these mugs for a donation raffle, something or other?" I don't know what they were raising money for, but I said, "I'm going to give you four. I'm going to give you the whole set, the four mugs for your raffle basket, and I don't even charge you for them. I'll give them to you if you will take four more, a whole nother set, and give it to that dude and tell him to get them to Mahomes, Kelsey, Taylor Swift, and Coach Reed." So the freaking Wolf legit has a set of mugs with handwritten notes to Patrick Mahomes, to Taylor Swift, Kelsey, and Reed. And he said he's going to do his best to get them to them personally.
Even if he doesn't.
Even if he doesn't, like take a picture of you holding these mugs in your wolf costume at Arrowhead Stadium, dude, that is a social media post
Hell yeah.
worth worth those four mugs.
Right. And they're custom designs that you made. It's not
Yeah,
like
they're
you
not
just ripped
Chiefs.
their
Like
logo.
yeah, you cannot mess with the NFL, dude. Like those are copywritten. They will take you down. I made my own designs where you can look at them and you know what they are, but they do not say anything about NFL, Chiefs, football, or anything. It's just their
It's just
character on
kind of
the
an
face.
iconography of of the person that, yeah,
Yeah, it's pop art of their face
right.
without their face.
Yeah. Okay. Damn.
So we'll see where
So,
that goes. I'm excited about that one.
yeah. Sounds like you're just putting putting little carrots out there or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, for sure.
Putting the good stuff out there and then you see what happens. Um,
Mhm.
so how much is a typical mug that you're selling with like just a logo on it? Does it depend on
20,
the size of the order or
25 to 30.
25 to 30? And is that based on the complexity of the logo and all that, or if you've got to design it and do more?
That includes one decal. So
Just
like a restaurant with their logo would be $25. It's your 14-ounce mug, one 3-inch wide, 3-inch tall, whichever comes first. Um, Decal on the front center of that. It's $25. And then usually if they want like extra decals, so like these that I'm actually doing right now, they have they have a logo that is that company's logo, but then they have a yearly logo that they change. So like the theme of their conference every year will go big and center on the front, and then on the back there's a small little one that says Women Walking with God Conference, whatever in Wichita. So like that would add $3 and kind
okay.
of go from there. But like those Chiefs mugs, that's my own design. I sell those at 30 and they're an 11-ounce mug. They're not even the big 14. They're just a small little guy.
Oh,
Um,
they are. Okay.
hmm And the only reason is those decals fit better on that size. They don't look good on a big 14-ounce mug.
Oh, okay. Proportionally, it just looks better.
Yeah, they're just more compact down there. Yep. And why those are 30 instead of 25, I have no idea. I
Probably
usually,
for the time. I mean, whenever you're making them, it's obviously around a, playoff run or the start of the season or whatever, and you're kind of getting
yeah,
that
but they're
excitement
also
on.
like my original art that I drew and came up with that design compared to a church sending me their logo.
Right. Yeah, it's more personal to
Um,
you because
mhm.
you're not making a ton of. Well, I guess the question: do you make a ton of decal work that is not a custom order like that you sell?
We do a buffalo mug where it's just a simple buffalo that I drew. And they come with a little piece of paper explaining the story of the buffalo, and which is a story from Colorado, which isn't even from here, but how buffalo react to a storm coming over the Rocky Mountains and how you as a human can relate to that. So we have those that are always in stock in the gallery. That's one that I want to put on Etsy and just have a constant listing and just see if those would catch on and just
I think
that's
that'd be a
the
good
only.
eye-catching listing, and then have the little like is that a well-known like story of the buffalo? Is that something that people would?
No, not really. But like when people hear it, then they buy like 3 or 4 of these mugs because it sounds real bad, but literally everybody knows somebody with cancer. And they give them as a gift, like saying, "Hey, like the storms of life have came at you, but look at this buffalo and look at this mug." Everybody uses a mug every day, usually, and it's a way to say, "Hey, let's you can't get out of this storm by escaping. Like you've got to face the storm you're in. Be like this buffalo and face it head first, and let's get through this." So we sell a ton of them for things like that. Um, which not trying to harvest off of people's bad feelings. But at the same time, they're all wanting a gift, so it's a better handmade gift that means something compared to if they're gonna buy a gift, they're gonna buy a gift, whether it's yours or whether it's one they find at Hallmark. Um, so it may as well be yours. But we
Mhm.
sell those at like $25. And it's just a simple buffalo that is one of my original drawings that I did on my iPad way back. And we sell hundreds of those a year. But we don't really advertise them. Every now and then I'll throw them on if I need a post, but we just have them on the shelf here when people walk in. Or like Harper mugs, like the Harper flag. We don't really put those online at all.
Mhm.
Something I really want to do though is I want to start making coloring pages. So they're like wraps that go the whole way around a mug. So your mug is white. It's the design is just black lines. and then sell them with a 4 pack of dry erase markers. So you like kids can color them in, and then they erase. So it's like coloring sheets. So you can do like a dinosaur scene with like volcanoes in the background. You can do like we do the fair every year. You could do a fair with like Ferris wheel and just different things you see at the fair, you know? I think
Yeah.
that'd be a
You could
really,
do like a
really,
tic-tac-toe mug or like game mug or
yeah.
something where they can
Like
draw on it.
Jesse does word search mugs where he does a word search puzzle the whole way around a mug. And then you can use like a dry erase to like draw when you find them.
Yeah. I've got one of
Those
his
are pretty cool.
USPS mugs before. I
Hmm.
actually gifted two of
Those
those to our post office workers here up the street
those had
last
pretty
year.
cool decals on them.
Hmm. Where do you get those?
Some guy in Kansas.
Some guy in Kansas.
Yeah.
Mm, Newton, Kansas, or
No, Harper, bro.
oh,
Harper.
okay, Harper, for a little bit longer.
He used to be a good client of mine. Then he went and bought the machine, so
Yeah. Do you
lost that
also
client.
do you have a lot of people that buy them from you?
Yeah, just shipped out an order today of decals. Once again, that's something I don't advertise.
I was gonna say, do you want people to reach out to you to order them?
I'm not out trying to. I will do it for people. Like I don't have a problem doing it. We charge. And people are fine with that. The thing that I've noticed printing for other people, like colors are not 100% exact and true. They're very, very close, but some people get disappointed. It's like, dude, this red is not red. And I mean, that's all the best. It's the best I can get. Turquoise, you can't do. Purples, you can't do. And that's literally anytime someone's like, "Can you print for me?" Yeah, for sure. Like Trevor the other day, he's like, "Hey, I've got this decal. Can you print it?" Yeah, send it to me. It's turquoise. I'm like, dude, I can't do turquoise. He doesn't know that. Like, he's just getting the
Right.
order that he got. And so as long as people understand, like, the turquoise is not going to be turquoise, it's going to be a really kind of a soft blue that looks turquoise-ish. But if it's like
Hmm.
Coca-Cola red has to be Coca-Cola red, that's super intimidating to print because it's not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
But as long as
Honestly, it
people
sounds like those
understand
are
that,
some of the turquoise separately. I feel like turquoise is achievable with glazes, but like reds are hard to get and like mixing a glaze that is not a stroke and coat glaze
yeah,
or like purples are kind of hard to get too. Like
I can get a decent red, but it's not going to be the exact. I mean, each logo is different. There's one here in Harper Industries. Their logo is red and black, and they've ordered several times. I cannot get their red, and I get it. Like it's their logo, but every time they're like, "Man, this just is not our red color," but it's the red I can achieve.
right.
So that's something
Okay.
like with my wall mugs or my designs that I do, it doesn't have to match anything, so it's fine. But like every year, this women walking with God order that I'm doing currently, every year it's like, oh, but that's not exactly the color. And every year they're bright pink fuchsia, they're turquoise, they're lime green, the colors I cannot match.
They're
Never
literally
fails.
looking at a printed sheet that's got the thing on it next to it, and they're like, "This doesn't look right."
Yeah, like literally this one this year is like pink roses, and pink is a color you cannot get very good. Like like bright fluorescent fuchsia pink, like or
Yeah.
magenta or whatever.
That's like trying to
Yeah,
get underglaze and
it's
underglaze fuchsia pink, like not.
yeah,
There's maybe one like Kiwi or something. I think the company
yeah.
they might have one
It's
close to that, but it's one of those hard. Something about it. So and there's like there's something going on with the toner of how you're accomplishing that. It's not even. It's different from when you print it to what it actually ends up looking like after the firing too. It's not.
a little bit, not as much as you might think. I used to think it changed a lot more than it does, but it's pretty true to color anymore from what I print to what fires.
Okay. And there's a little bit of trial and error you had to do with the
Oh
printer.
my dear God, hours and hours and hundreds of prints. Oh yeah, wasted. It is not a machine that
It's
you
not a
just
set it, forget it.
Yeah, no, the humidity levels change the colors. Like you've got to, like, also, it is designed, the printer is designed so you're looking at a screen and you're looking at colors with lights coming through them to create those colors in your screen. Mugs don't have colors shooting and light shooting through them. They have a white glaze as a base. So then these are formulated to where there's no white. So if you have white in your logo, it's just there's nothing printed there so that the white glaze turns into the white. So then you're mixing all these colors without a white base. You don't have that white light in it. Like you can't lighten it up by adding white ink to it.
And you can't
Does that
like
make
simulate
sense?
a white background and kind
Mm-mm.
of.
Yeah, so you've got to learn how to read a screen and read how your printer is going to see that screen. I was on the phone with the company last weekend because I have one order that this guy, um, Adam Miller, he makes some really sweet designs, like his like animals, like farm animal stuff. But he had sent me this cow that was like red and yellow, white, and then gray, but the grays were printing blue. And it's just like the blue that you choose when you're creating this image, or the gray was probably a cool gray. So then the computer, the screen has created a way to make it look gray that you're looking at, like the RGB or the CMYK. It looks gray. But when this printer is reading the numbers and the binary code that this computer shoots to it, it's blue. And you can't overwrite it and you can't just select it. And it's just, so it's hard to learn those and what to do in that situation. You can then get filters in Photoshop that you put on top of these to then distort the colors. But then
Mhm.
when you distort one color, it distorts the other ones. And so it's a
Ooh.
process. And I often tell people have the JPEG completely ready so that I can just do the color balance, whatever, and push print. But like a lot of orders that we'll get, people will say, "Hey, can you print decals?" Yeah, we can. Do you have a minimum order? No, one sheet's fine. Oh, okay. Here's this logo. Can you take it and can you make the logo a little bit bigger? Can you change the color? It's like I'm not a graphic designer. I need send me what you want and I'll print it. But I'm not.
Like in the size that you need it.
Yeah, in the size you need. I'm not adjusting your logo, but I've told them I'll do that work because I can, but it's going to be $30 an hour.
Mm.
Like I
I
need to
mean,
make money
yeah.
because there's been files I've had that I've spent 5 hours correcting this file just to print it, and it's like
But the
I
color
lost it.
balancing is going to take time anyways. Like that
Yeah, it
that's
will
going to happen regardless. Yeah.
for sure. But then like people want an actual logo created.
Yeah,
Where
that's a
I've
lot.
had orders like that for sure where they didn't even have a logo. Oh, okay. Well, let's think about this one. This one was a hamburger called Tasty Burgers, and they wanted this logo, whatever. And I'm like, sure, send it to me. Well, we don't have one. Can you just make a logo with Tasty Burgers? It's like, what? Um,
You're like, contact me once you've got a little bit more established
yeah.
than
Because then
an
you create
idea.
something and they're like, no, I don't like it. Okay, well, now this has turned into a project I didn't want just because I can print decals.
Yeah. And then they're just trying to get your graphics help and you're sending it to
Yeah.
them. And like, are
Yeah.
they taking the graphic and then they're like showing it to somebody and they're like, hey, what do we think of these samples? And then you think you're on
But
the hook
then
for
literally,
decals and
well, yeah. And then literally they want three mugs or two for me and my wife. And it's like, I just spent 5 hours to make this decal for you to get two mugs. Like that's not worth it.
I have a firing question.
Yeah.
Okay, what are you firing these to? And
I
then
fire my
do you have
decals
any
to 50.
special shelves that you use in that kiln?
Oh man. Oof. What a question. I fire my decals to 1652 Fahrenheit. It's a
Which is like a
it's a
cone, is that like a cone 10?
two
Cone
yeah,
O
it's
10, sorry.
Kono 10, yeah, but it's a segmented program from the company that makes the kilns, or I'm sorry, the decals.
the printer. Yeah.
But I have found that the best firing possible, I mean the glossiest, the best decal is fired by killshelf.com. You having problems with your kiln, Ryan? It might be the shelves you're using
It
to
might
fire
be.
on.
You might need to fire it a little more evenly. You got to get those thin shelves.
Go to kilnshelf.com, get you a thin shelf that allows the air in your kiln to circulate more because it's not being congested inside the shelf. At kilnshelf.com, we guarantee the thinnest shelf on the market. Tired of
How long
breaking your
it
back? Kiln shelf. Tired of
shelf?
bending over with really heavy shelves? Kiln shelf. Tired of those pesky glazed grips running those shelves you just spent $58 for? Kilnshelf.com. They might be expensive, but guess what? All good things in life are. Go to kilnshelf.com. Secure you a kiln full of kiln shelf. Advance your kiln shelves. Kilnshelf.com. Yeah, I use kiln shelf. I
Thank
use
you.
advancers. Yeah,
Yeah.
who that guy was that just came in here and talked about. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Who the hell
has
was
no effect on the decals, but has a very good effect on your back when you're loading a kiln,
that? Yeah. Yeah.
especially a soda kiln.
Have you so have I feel like what is the have you used some of the gold ones too? The gold decals?
Never have. No, I never have.
Okay.
I looked into them. I think you have to buy like a minimum sheet that's like pretty big. I think and they're pretty expensive.
Yeah.
But no, I've never done those.
The other thing about the D
I know some people that have.
yeah, I've seen I mean obviously Ross Inc uses them. I think I've seen some other folks that use them. I'm trying to think of because obviously there's like you can use the luster, the painting the luster. Have you used the luster too? Separately than like not decals, but
Yeah, I use
you use
gold
gold
luster a
luster.
lot. Yeah. Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. What about the ventilation? I know the ventilation is a little funky with the decals too. What do people need to know about that?
I have a kiln outside. They need to be vented. Um, I only fire my decals outside. We have a kiln that is just for luster and for decals. It is outside our back door, so it's not really vented at all because it's just outside. But I mean, you walk out the door when it's firing, you can smell it. It is very stinky. That flux sheet, it's almost like a plastic burning off. Um, you'll know it if we have definitely fired it in our kiln in our basement with a vent on and it still didn't get it all. Um, yeah,
Are
it
you firing
was.
those pretty full though? Because I've fired some in our obviously my kilns are in my basement and I've got a vent on them, but um typically I haven't fired a ton of them. Like my 7 cubic foot kiln, I think the most I've ever fired in there is maybe 25 or something.
Oh yeah, I'll fire 80 mugs with decals.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we're loading it.
Loading it
Um,
full.
mhm. But we also will do down to, I don't know, we'll do a minimum load of 10. Well, I don't
Hmm.
like to, but sometimes you just get orders. That's why I need a plug-in fire.
That would be nice. I've actually I did get a reorder from one of the from the brewery that was ordering some, and he got a couple of them. It was nice to put in that plug and fire, just fire a couple of them, get them out the door. It
Hmm.
did change. I don't know how much you've used other glazes on the decals. You mentioned some of the glaze colors did change. I did get some color variations because I was doing the speckled clay with a clear glaze, and then I had another secondary glaze on the lip that
Yeah.
didn't overlap the decal, but it did change. I had the floating blue glaze on top, and it
Yeah.
changed some of the little specks of it to like a
Oh
green
yeah.
color. It looked pretty cool though. It kind of made it look like a sea foam sort of effect.
Hmm.
So I did really like that, but that is something to look out for. Even though it's going to 010, it's gonna change a little bit on some of those colors.
You do fire to that 010 schedule?
Yeah, the one you sent me. I'm like, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna change. Why do I want to change it?
Well, it works great for me. Jesse said he fires the 04 with decals, and he said it's great.
Is that because he's just putting them in a bisque firing because he doesn't need a whole kiln load, or
No, I have mixed bisque and decals once, and it actually like the off gassing from the bisque bubbled the decal, like water or vapor, something like hit it and landed.
oh
Yeah,
shit.
it messed them up. Like, yeah, I ruined a whole order thinking I'd
Okay.
sneak them in there. That was not a good idea.
Okay.
Um, no, he's just had better results with like coloration in his blacks, he said.
Hmm. The satin black?
No, the blacks in the decals.
Oh, okay.
So he claims the black is more black at 04 than it is at 010.
Hmm.
I
Because
get a good enough black at 010. I'm not worried about it.
is the pigment technically like underglaze or
I don't know that to say specifically. I have described it that way to people, but officially I don't know.
yeah, that's the proprietary secret sauce of
Yeah,
the
it comes from we have to order it from Germany. So like when we refill the toner, it comes from Germany.
okay. Because I mean that's besides the actual machine itself, like that's the most expensive part. Like it ain't cheap
Yeah, it's $1,000 to refill the toner.
per color.
No. Well, it
Just
can
into
be. Depends how much you order. But
okay.
just this
Just
it's
to like refill
CMYK.
all the toner. Okay.
Yeah. So it's CMYK, so you get black, yellow, red, and blue. But then you also learn like which colors like black and red. I go through those colors a lot quicker than I go through the other colors. So I'll usually buy more of those. But when I am buying and paying shipping across the ocean, I usually buy a lot of the flux paper, a lot of the toner, and pay just one shipping fee.
Okay. Yeah, you can't just
So
go
that
into
also gets
some local pottery supply
no,
place and get the flux paper and get the toner and
no.
stuff.
You can only get those two from Germany. And I've
And
tried.
is that similar for like the sepia tone, the iron oxide stuff? Is that more
No,
accessible
you
or
can go into a you can go into a pottery store usually and get that stuff.
okay.
Yeah, that's more readily available. But that's also just it's an all-included piece of paper. It's got like the flux in that paper where when I'm doing it, I'm actually adding two pieces of paper, putting it through a laminator. It's like a lot of work. Where that's just print on it and it's ready to go.
Right. There was one other thing that I did notice after because typically you're throwing it through a glaze firing and then you're putting the decal on and then you're doing a third firing. One thing I did find out, I pulled an old mug out and put a decal on it, and I think
Mm-hmm.
I had sanded the bottom already.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe the pot had some moisture in it
Mm-hmm.
from sanding, and then when I did the decal firing, the glaze like bubbled a little bit.
Yeah. So
Had a
also a
little
lot of that is off gassing that was not allowed to do during the bisque.
hmm.
So I bisque everything medium to 04. But if I'm putting a decal on it, I fire it slow to 04. And then I also glaze fire those slow to cone 5, where I usually do a medium fire for everything. And what that does is it just allows more of that off gassing during that bisque stage, because that third firing with the decal, if it still has any of that gas in there, it's going to come out and pinhole like crazy.
Okay. That makes more
And it
sense. Okay, it's probably
and
so
it does.
I probably just did a faster glaze firing because it was
Yeah.
like a really old piece. I was just testing to see what this decal looked like.
Yeah, probably so.
Okay. So it's probably that, not the sanding and the adding water to the pot and
Yeah,
it
yeah,
doing
I
weird
would
stuff. It's
assume it
just
was
off
more of
gassing.
this. Hmm.
Okay. Okay. That's good to know.
And that's
So
something
if
that we've learned through experimentation. I mean, I lots of conversations with Justin Roshank about that one, and he kind of helped me get that one figured out.
okay, do um like how do you have like a base price of a pot with a decal if it's like your own work? Like how do you price that extra work involved in the obviously you own the printer, so like you've got access to decals and stuff.
What do you mean?
Would you like how much more would you add to a pot that had a decal? If you got to do a third firing, you got to add the
Oh,
decal on there.
usually
You got
like
the risk
usually
like
$5
$5 per like per decal or like
per decal.
if it's a
Yeah.
wrap, maybe $10.
Yeah, it depends on that. So I sell a sheet of decals, 8.5 by 11. I sell them for $25. And that's literally because that's what I was paying when I was buying them from somebody else.
Hmm.
That's how I came up with that price. And so I honestly when I'm doing a custom piece or something, I will price the decal based on that. Because for that customer, getting the pot, $25 for a sheet. So like these 70 plates that I'm working on, they talked about having a full spread decal in the middle of them, but that's one sheet of paper
Shit, yeah, that adds a lot.
times 70. So I told the lady, I said, because we'd already came up with our price was $50 per plate with their like design wood on it. But I told her, I was like, I mean, I've already named my price. We've came to this, and now you want to change it to this. I said, honestly, each one of those decals is costing me $25 per plate.
Well, that's your
So I said,
$25 is
it's
if you charged somebody else, right? For the I mean,
yeah, yeah, for sure. But that's still
yeah, it's
the
still
price
close
of the
to it.
decal, whether
Yeah,
I'm putting it on
right.
for a customer. So I told her, like, literally, it's $25 in a decal for me to decal each and every single plate. That's not even including the other materials and my time and everything. I said that's already half the
Yeah, that's half of that
income.
$50.
So I was like, either one, we have to change the price, or two, we need to find a different technique. And we did a different technique. We got it settled to where I can fit maybe 6 decals on a sheet. So then you're looking at like literally $4 a decal,
Okay.
which is a lot better. But then that doesn't include your firing, your application time. That's just the material.
Right. Just like your clay material cost or your glaze material cost.
Yeah.
And and also you have to go through I mean you've already done this enough and you know that like your limitations of I'm doing this on a white glaze and you know
Hmm.
what options are available. So you're familiar with like what you can, I'm going to say promise to the customer, but what you're
Hmm.
willing to actually go back and forth on because you can
Yeah, for
say, hey,
sure.
this is all that I offer. I think I was going back and forth a little bit with glaze colors with I want to say it was the brewery just to figure out what options there were for glazes. And then I was like, okay, and let me throw the decals on them and see how it's going to look.
Yeah.
And
I don't
luckily it was like,
I don't even
okay,
offer
clear.
colored glazes to them.
Yeah.
I will only do it on white glaze.
Yeah, white glaze. And then they went with the speckled. I think they liked it because it looked beachy, sort of, because they were. It was supposed to be like a kind of like a shipwreck sort of brewery.
Yeah,
So
right. I remember
the
that.
beachy kind of vibe fit. So, um, yeah, that was the 200 mug order. That was the biggest decal order I'd done. And thank you for helping me out with those.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a
I think the like in like the time to cut them out kind of sucked and
oh yeah.
um I mean, the process of putting them on was kind of nice. It was kind of meditative a little bit to apply them, but
It
it is a
is
lot of
until
prep
you're
work
doing it
to,
every day. I mean, then it's kind of annoying. But also it depends on the clay body you're using. So like my white B mix, it goes on real simple, real clean, and it usually fires perfect. But I use a lot of B mix with speckle. And the manganese speckle in there actually creates small little pits in the surface. And when you have a decal on there, that adds a small little air bubble. And if you don't get it 100% squeegeed out, those blister out. And nobody wants
Oh,
to pay $30 for a mug with a blister right in their decal. So, I mean, I've thrown hundreds of mugs away that are perfectly good mugs. They just
mhm.
have, let's say, McDonald's with a hole right smack in the middle of the M. And they're like, yeah, it's $25 mug. That's not, it's handmade, but it's their logo with a hole in it. Like, so I get it.
Right.
Like,
And you're not
I
going to go
wouldn't
the
want to
step
pay for
of,
that.
okay, now I got to add slip on the surface where the decal is going to go, and is it going to look right? And
Right. And you can't
you got
like
to,
add another decal over it because then that little hole has one decal, the rest has two. You can see the layers. I've tried it all. I've tried. Some people get China paint and paint in the little blisters, but then you got a color match and it's a
ooh,
lot. But
okay.
I've done some real dumb things. Like for example, somebody who wanted you to make a logo. So this Airbnb place they wanted their custom mugs with the house drawn and the name of the house below it. So I drew out a real rough sketch of this. It was called the Schubach House. And I drew out the sketch. They approved it. So then I took the time and actually drew a very good image because I wasn't going to spend time and actually draw this house if it wasn't what they wanted. They approved it. Did that. Then I found an actual fancy font that was awesome. Put the Shoebob house. They had already okayed it. So then I just made the mugs and I delivered them. I mean, it was like $300 order. And it was spelled Schubach. Schubach. German, maybe? I don't know. And
Okay.
and in my preliminary sketch, I had it spelled right. But then I redid the whole sketch and I missed the P.
Oh, fuck.
And I didn't okay it with them because I'd already okayed it with them and delivered it. And the lady's like, and she gets a hold of me. She goes, Isaac, I don't know what happened. Like I looked, the sketch you sent us, it's spelled right, but these mugs, it's not. And that's what happened was I had done a preliminary sketch, got it okayed. But then what do you do? So then I tried to fire these mugs up to like cone six to get that decal gone. It wouldn't go away. I think I fired those things probably 10 times trying to delete that. I could never get it off. So I finally just threw them all away and remade them.
Damn.
Yeah, so that's the downside sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a learning, that was a big learning thing for me. Was
Ooh.
double, triple check everything that you're putting on a decal for somebody because that's costly, man. 12 mugs.
At least it was 12. I mean, that's still $300 order, but I mean, you lost money by
Yeah,
the end of it.
could have been a 200 mug order. That would have sucked.
Shit. Ooh. So how many like wholesale orders are you doing with logos these days? Like,
One or
or
two a month.
how many wholesale or how many mugs with decals are you doing like that? Are you doing like 500 a year? More than that?
Oh, more. Yeah, more. This restaurant that I'm doing, they just changed their marketing lady. The one before ordered all the time, and she was ordering 75 mugs a pop. This one's ordering like 15 a month. So a whole lot less. She's gonna be down here on Friday at the gallery. She wants to come pick them up instead of me delivering. So I'm gonna talk to her about getting new designs, which if they do, then they have 8 or 9 restaurants that they need to fill. So that'll be
Mm,
probably 200 mug order if I can get her to change designs because we've been doing these designs now for about 4 years. Um, so the ones who are going to buy it have their mug.
right.
So we'll see. I don't know. Last year Jesse came and threw 750 mugs for us, and I handled them. And then we put those in storage, and as we get like an order, then we have them ready. And
Yeah.
we went through 750, and So like this restaurant, I don't use mugs from somebody else. I personally make all of those.
Because it's the restaurant?
Yeah, because they're a pretty special order, and they have three forms that they want, three different logos, one on each. So they want three mugs per restaurant. They have three different forms, three different logos. And so I just throw all of those instead of
And
because
that's
like
the mug you're
Jesse,
you're handling right now. That's one of those mugs.
no, no, this is for that women's retreat. Um, Actually, I'll throw that restaurant some mugs tomorrow morning. That's the clay that I prepped before was for that order.
Okay.
And then I have a pizza joint at a town 10 miles from here that when we announced we were leaving, she wanted to reorder mugs for their restaurant. So I'll tag those into that order and I'll make all those tomorrow morning.
Ooh.
This is for that women's conference.
And
So yeah,
and
they
people
just,
that aren't familiar with your like this mug, if you sold, do you sell that form of mug with a glaze on it normally? Just not,
yep,
not white
yep,
with a yeah. And
hmm
is that your quote unquote $20 mug?
yeah, yep, correct.
Yeah, so kind of standard mug. Yeah, so it's just a simple cylinder with a, he's doing work in the studio now. So he just pulled the handles, took them off, attached them. Like you get that
So
done
it's
in a day,
literally,
basically.
yeah, I threw these this morning. It's literally a cylinder, and the reason is because the decal lays flat on it. That's the only reason I make these straight up and down. It's just quicker application of a decal.
Right. Yeah, you're a little
Because
limited with the curve of the mug. Plus, if you got textures.
yeah, so like I put just a basic little swirl on a lot like this one. And I mean, to get a decal to lay flat inside that groove, you can do it. It just takes time, and I don't want to spend extra time.
Hmm.
So I just do a straight up and down. I call it like a camp style mug because it's like
Yeah, it's a little bit narrower at the
the
top than
old
it is at the bottom.
yeah, the old tin can like cups at a campfire kind of deal.
Yeah,
Something like that. Just it's gotten taller over the years.
yeah. And that's like a 12-ounce mug, right?
14.
14 ounce. Okay.
I've talked about when we go to Newton to start doing kind of 10 to 12 ounce mugs, like the Chiefs mugs.
Right.
Just, I don't know.
I mean, the decals will depend on the decal, it'll look better on a bigger form than a
Yeah,
smaller
depending
form,
on the
right?
decal, for sure.
So
But I
if
just
you
started
were
thinking the amount of mugs that we make in a year, you take 2 ounces of raw clay away from them, you're saving a whole lot of clay.
right, and you could probably
And the,
charge a similar amount, and it's not gonna be
oh,
that
yeah.
noticeable.
No, I'd charge the same amount, just a little bit
Shrink
smaller of a,
Shrinkflation pottery edition.
yeah, deflate gate.
So if you did, because I've had little ridges and stuff, how do you make them work on something that does have some ridges or some texture or some curve to it?
I don't,
You don't? But
I don't, I
have
don't
you
do
done
decals
the
on those.
have you done the heat up? So what I did was like hot
Oh yeah, yeah,
water.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
what do
yeah.
you do to
Sorry.
make it
Yeah.
work if you did?
Yeah, I use a heat gun. So once it's applied onto the surface, I heat it up with a hair dryer and then
Mhm.
it melts that around those cracks. So like on my wall mugs where I have texture and stuff. Yep, that's what I do. Sorry.
Yeah. So I was yeah, in case people want to do the
Heat
decals and they have some
heat is
texture.
your friend. Yeah, heat is your friend when you're applying decals. Whether I have a friend up in Canada that she'll heat up a ton of hot water like in a bucket and she'll just put all of her mugs in a bucket and pull them out
Oh,
and they're hot from that
nice.
hot water and then it'll just apply right away. Jesse pulls it straight out of the kiln at like 200 degrees and applies the decal and it works fine. The thing
Hmm.
with that is like you've got to get it right on the first time. There's not much moving that thing around.
Yeah. When you
That
slide
thing's
it on
gonna
there, it's starting to
you better
suck
have
it
it pretty
in
close.
immediately.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done I've done the hot water, like you run in the faucet and get it really hot,
Yeah.
so it's kind of steamy a little bit. I haven't quite done like a tea kettle or anything, but done the hot
Mm-hmm.
water. You sit a few in there and then put it on there. I've even like blown hot air onto it
Yeah.
from to get it smooth it out,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't. It does get brittle though, so you gotta like figure out the
They get
balance
very
of.
brittle. They really do.
Yeah, you can't rub it too much or else it'll start cracking and like you
Mm-hmm.
rip it.
Mm-hmm. If you're gonna start rubbing it over a texture, it better be hot.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll crack and split.
So then warming the pots up before is a good way versus
Yep.
just the water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All
But I
right.
use hot water when I soak my decals, and it's kind of the same thing.
Right. Just
So
soften
the
them up a little
decal,
bit.
yeah, the decal is warm and it's just very soft, man.
Hmm. All right. Is there anything else that any tricks or things that you think people should know about if they were to start venturing into the decal game? Or
Mm.
something that you maybe thought before doing it and now that you like done a ton of them, you're like, okay, this is something people don't know.
I don't know. Not really. Nothing off the top of my head. Um, if you can pay a high school kid to cut them out, your sanity will
Mm.
be better. You just have to have a really good consistent cut because you do see the halo line, the outline of the decal.
Oh
So you
yeah.
don't cut right on the edge. You usually leave about an eighth of an inch around it, but then you can see that. So you still got to cut clean. So yeah, but I've come to the reality is in my personal studio practice, I'm my body is best used throwing. So anything else that I can sub out to a high school kid, we have an intern, we had like two interns all summer. They can cut out decals, they can weigh balls of clay, they can do all that. They can't throw. But I even had them decaling our mugs, and the one, dadgum, that one girl, she was awesome. I bet she did 1,000 mugs this summer, and I bet she lost two mugs to burnouts. I'll lose two in a kiln of 80, and
Yeah.
she went slow,
She was on
but
it.
dadgum, but she nailed it. I mean, she knew how to do it. She did really good. And I miss her doing it because now I've got to do it. And it's like, oh, this is a long, boring day for me.
I need to make a
Um,
visit out there to do some decals.
You can do it. Yeah, you should probably just make a visit out here.
I did some decals when I
We,
was there visiting because I cut some out and I think the color ended up being a little funky, but
I think
that
you did them
was
wrong. There was something you did wrong, but I didn't care because you did them.
I, th- we did the heat gun and everything. I hadn't done the heat gun
What
before, like after
what were the
um
decals? I forget.
they were the Roadrunner ones. I thought it was the blue came out a little funky
Oh
because
yeah, the blue did come out gray, but I think you had decaled like 10 too many of one design.
oh
But
okay okay
it wasn't a big deal. I mean, I didn't tell you just because I always cut out extras in case one of them breaks or something that I don't have to go reprint.
oh
And I
yeah
think what you did is you just decaled all of them of the one style, which was fine. They all
yeah
turned out like shit anyways. They were gray instead of blue. Oh, I was
yeah that was
pissed.
when you were having some issues with your printer calibrations or something.
Yeah, yep, yep.
Whew. Okay. So do you want people to reach out to you if they are interested in buying decals?
Yeah, for sure they can. Yeah, not a problem.
Okay. So they just message
We
you
are,
on
however, we
Instagram
are
or
like,
do you want
yeah,
them to reach
message on
out
Instagram
or do
or
you want them to
email.
reach
It
out to the
doesn't matter.
gallery?
You can email, you can Instagram. The thing is, I mean,
You're moving, so obviously there's
we are
some
shutting down operations like March 25th,
okay.
and then we're gonna be in Bolivia till 1st of May, moving like it may
We'll
not
get you
be
some
till
business once you get back.
summer. Yeah,
This
reach
should
out in the summer. Summertime trial period
this
with
should be
decals.
out this should be out March 15th, I think. So people will get
Well,
their
if you can,
inspiration from Ensika, maybe soak in some decal stuff at Ensika, see what's
we could
possible.
squeeze some stuff in. We can
Yeah.
squeeze it in for you.
Okay. All right. So
25 bucks a sheet.
where should they reach out to you?
Instagram's fine.
Instagram, Isaac Shue is art.
And if they use promo code Wheel Talk 25, I will do it for $24.50 a sheet. Nah, it's just kidding.
It didn't hurt to mention
24.
Doesn't hurt to mention Wheel Talk though.
Wheel Talk 25. Yeah, let me know you heard on Wheel Talk. I'll give them to
There you
you
go.
for
I mean, if they
24
listen this far
bucks.
into the
Save it.
episode, you know they're in for
I'll
it. So.
save you $1 a sheet, and then when you order like an order of 200 mugs, that adds up. That's like
There you go.
$25 off.
Hell yeah.
Your order was like $1,000. Remember that? That was awesome.
Yeah.
I even gave you the good friend discount.
Yeah, you did. And it turns out, did I tell you that brewery actually closed?
Bullshit. After they ordered 200 mugs.
Yeah, they closed like this past year. They ordered them in 2023.
Why?
They ordered them in 2023,
Oh my
and then they ended up
gosh.
closing in 2024.
What?
I think, well, maybe it was, I don't know if it was the very end of 2024 or the beginning of 2025, but they actually did just close.
Oh my gosh, poor people.
Yeah, I know.
That sucks.
Well, it was one of those things where they had two locations and they ordered mugs for both. And yeah, one location was selling okay. The other, it was kind of to hopefully get some regular customers in the second location.
So is that what set them over the edge then, where they lost money? Was
No,
those
I
mugs? And
don't
then
think so. I don't think so. I mean, the total order was $6,000. Like, if they can't,
holy
if if they're out because I made mugs for them and they
$6,000?
$30 a mug.
That's
They
a
were
big order.
steins. They were big, like 20-ounce,
Attaboy.
22-ounce steins.
That is a big order.
Yeah. It was the first and only mug club order I've done. I'd be interested in doing it again or doing a mug club order.
No.
200's a lot. I don't know that I want to do 200, but
200's a fun order. I like that size.
well, I mean, the
Get
volume had to be so specific. I think that was the toughest part. I didn't measure as well to make sure that the volume at
lasers.
the end was going to be 20 ounces perfectly. So I know that for next time,
Lasers.
but that's a little
Heck
bit.
yeah.
All right. Well,
Dude, I need to go to bed. I gotta be back out here in 6 hours.
I know. Shit. All right. Well, thanks, Isaac, for joining us. Hopefully, everybody
Next time
enjoyed
we
that.
will. Next
Let us
time
know
we'll
some
record at 5
feedback.
a.m.
Yeah, I don't know about 5 a.m. We'll see.
Sure.
Let us know what you think. Reach out to Isaac. Thank him for coming on. And we'll catch y'all next time. Thanks for listening.
Right on. Thank you.
All right. See you guys. Bye. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to another episode of Wheel Talk. This podcast is made possible through the contributions of all of our listeners who always ask us great questions, leave us reviews, and contact with us through social media. Thanks to all the fellow makers as well who take time to be interviewed and share about their lives and businesses.
And thank you to Ashley from Boldover Ceramics and Lindy from Lindy Garner Ceramics for their assistance on the Wheel Talk Podcast Instagram. You are invaluable. Thank you to everybody.